One. All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to Sword of Truth, another class for Wednesday. And we're just going to continue where we left off last week from the Most High's creatures, Celestial, Terrestrial, and Mythical. And first and foremost, though, before we get started, we want to give a shout out to our brothers and sisters out there in New York, isbhpk New York, Norfolk, Virginia, Houston, Texas, our brothers in Guatemala. Shout out to our elder Kawakab in Guatemala, Amiatazan in London, brothers in Atlanta, California, Canada, Costa Rica, London, wherever you guys are watching from. Shout out and shalom to you as well, both to the brothers and to the sisters, and also to those that took the time out to come to class and to be in the flesh, in the presence. Shout out to everybody that came to watch in class as well, and hopefully we can kind of get through this point. I know it was a long class last week, and we didn't get halfway through, and I have a feeling that this will be a part 3 to this class, because I don't think we'll be able to get through this today, but I'm going to try to get through it, but with simplicity, where this is something that can be understood by adults and also the children. So the objective is for simplicity to reign, and so it's easy to swallow, easy to understand, because I want this class to be something that you can read in front of your kids and your kids understand, and if they have any questions themselves, then this will edify them as well, hopefully. All right, so that's the objective. And shout out to everybody online, live in the comments. Shalom, and shout out to you as well. And let's go ahead and get started. It's about that time. Let's go to first scripture. Ecclesiastes, kind of do a recap where we were from last week. Ecclesiastes 39:28. Ecclesiastes chapter 39 verse 28. Just a recap from last week's class, and to pick up kind of where we left off from, but just as a reminder how that the Most High's creatures, and also just a quick question, for the class. Does anybody remember who and what was the first thing ever created? Christ. Christ was the first creature ever created by the Most High, and then through Christ created everything, both visible and invisible. Everything seen and unseen, everything material and immaterial. So we know Christ created the angels, he created the earth, he created the heavens, he created thrones, dominions, powers, principalities. Christ created everything. So, and everything for Christ.
And the only thing to come directly from the Most High's being.
Yep, that's right.
Say that one more time.
When it says only begotten Son, meaning Christ came directly from the being of Christ.
Okay.
Of the Most High. Mm-hmm. Like Eve came from Adam's rib.
Right.
Christ came from the Most High's being.
Okay.
Begotten. The only begotten Son.
Mm-hmm. Born of the Father. Coming straight from the Most High's himself. Splitting himself with Christ. Creating another creature in his fashion. All right? Okay. And Christ made us in his image. That's why it says, we read Genesis 1:26 last week. It says, let us make man what?
In our
image, in our likeness. All right. So just kind of refreshing the class from the topic from last week, but just kind of pick up where we left off at, because we wanted to show that everything, Christ was the first creature, then they created the angels, man, the earth, but all these things was done by the Most High's providence, but Christ was the creator of these things. And then we also realized that through the angels, through the creation of the Most High in Christ, they have an effect both on earth and also in heaven. They can affect both realms. They can go between both realms. All right, so that's what we're picking up at now is Ecclesiastes chapter 39, verse 28. Let's read that.
Ecclesiastes 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
It says there be what?
Spirits that are created for vengeance.
So people call spirits all kind of things. People call them ghosts, sightings, visions, apparatuses. But we know. Say it again.
Apparitions.
Apparitions, not apparatus. Apparitions in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. So, but we know these spirits and what they are. We know what the spirits are, and so we want to prove what they are by going to Psalms 104, verse 4. Let's go to Psalms chapter 104. In verse 4, to prove what these spirits are. The Most High said that he created spirits for vengeance. So the Most High has spirits created on earth that act out in vengeance when the Most High is angry. And what are these spirits? Psalms 104:4.
Psalms chapter 104, verse 4. Who maketh his angels spirits.
So what are these spirits?
He's making the angels what?
Spirits.
So we know exactly what these spirits are. What are these spirits created for vengeance? These are angels. These angels that the Most High create. So when he says there be spirits created for vengeance, we know exactly what these spirits are.
And I remember last class you were breaking down how the Twin Towers, you took a picture, and there was the face. You call it the face, right? It was called the ghost in the tower.
Yeah, Satan in the smoke or something like that.
Satan in the smoke. Yep. And you were explaining how the walking man.
Yep.
The walking man.
We're going to get there. Yeah, dead man walking.
Dead man walking. That these events that are quote unquote cataclysmic or weather events, you can see that there be angelic beings behind these events and in these events.
These are, but we know what they are, and we're gonna get into it. These are spirits, all right, and those spirits are angels, all right, and these angels can transform. Read.
It says his ministers a flaming.
And then we know the word minister means servant. He said his angels are his servants, and they can become what?
A flaming fire.
So they can transform, and they can take different shapes. All right. So these angels have a multitude of purposes. All right. So let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 29, verse 28, and we'll read on from there.
Ecclesiastes 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them.
So they satisfy the wrath of the Most High that made them. Read on.
Fire.
And so we know fire. And we just read in Psalms that his angels can become a flaming fire. We just read that. Right? So they can transform. But what else?
And hail.
They can come in the form of hail. They can manipulate the weather. You know? So when you got golf ball size hail, grapefruit size hail, pea size hail, you know, onion size hail, which we've had not too long ago, a couple years ago. We had onion size hail that
That's crazy, bro.
was reported to have gone through the walls of people's houses. You know, on the specifically on the northeast side, they had hailstones that went through the hardy plank.
Oh, wow.
That broke through the hardy plank and was coming into the living room of people's houses.
Yeah.
So this
That's crazy.
When I say they sound like somebody's chunking baseballs, but a whole lot of them. That's what they sound like when they hit your roof. They sound like baseballs are being thrown by the thousands, and they hit your roof with pop and with a thunder. Bow! You can hit your window. Bow! You hit your car. All the windows in the neighborhood busted out. After the aftermath, you can see down there everybody in the whole section of the city getting new roofs because they tore them little shingles off like it was nothing, like paper.
Like some sort of Armageddon thing.
All the trees were stripped of leaves and branches broken, animals killed,
Oh,
pets.
they show that on the news. They just
Pets.
you can hear it.
Yeah, pets getting killed. Yeah, the hell is astronomical. But we know what it is. It's the angels that the Most High God that He's utilizing for particular reasons and purposes. Read.
And famine.
And also famine. We know starvation. There was a dust bowl going on in Texas a couple years ago. There was famine in California, Nevada, the Midwest, where a lot of the pastures were drying up in Nebraska. All the cornfields were drying up in Nebraska. So that's why gas was going up. All the ethanol was going up. All the corn was drying up. All this, the Most High control all of it. Read on.
And death.
And that's in the eventual death. Read on.
And all these were created for vengeance.
And all these were created for what?
Vengeance.
But who is the instrument the Most High is using to execute this vengeance?
These spirits are angels.
These angels, bro. So we got to understand that, all right? So we know that these angels are doing the bidding of the Most High for destructive purposes.
Come on.
More on that topic, 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 15. Let's read that. Shout out to everybody online as well. We just pulled up.
1 Chronicles
chapter 15 and verse 21.
And Mattathiah,
First Chronicles, chapter 21,
21, slide.
verse 15.
First Chronicles 21 and verse 15. And the Most High sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it.
He says, and the Most High said what?
An angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil.
So who does the Most High send to destroy?
An angel.
Go ahead.
And said to the angel that destroyed, it is enough. Stay now thine hand.
So the Most High is telling the angel to what? Stop. He said, listen, after that destruction, he said, that's enough. Stop. The Most High has the power over the angelic forces to stop their destruction. So he says, that's enough. Stay thy hand. That means withdraw yourself from your destruction. Pull back from destroying. Read on.
God. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan, the Jebusite.
Read.
And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heavens.
So what did David see? What did it just say that David saw?
The angel of the Lord.
He saw an angel of the Lord doing what?
Standing between the earth and the heavens.
So we know that these angels can go where?
Between the earth and the heavens.
They can go to both realms. They're not limited just as a celestial being. They're not limited on earth. They can go between both. He said this particular angel of the Lord was standing between heaven and the earth. Read on.
Having a drawn sword in his hand.
And so David actually saw an angel with a sword in his hand. He actually saw it with his own eyes. Read.
Stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders of Israel, who were clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces.
They did what?
Fell upon their faces.
Yeah, man, you got to, at that moment when you see that level of destruction, that's very humbling. Because you realize what? I have no power. I have no control over my situation. There's nothing that I can do but petition the Most High and pray. That's all I can do. Petition the Most High and pray. Read.
And David said unto the Most High, is it not I that commanded the people to be numbered? Even I it is that have sinned and done evil indeed.
He said he's begging the Most High, I'm the one that instituted the census. Why take it out on the people? Because the Most High didn't want any census done by David. He didn't want a number to be done as a count. He didn't want the children of Israel to be counted and a census taken. But David did it anyway. But when you actually read the history or read the biblical story of it, it says that Satan jumped in the heart of David to force him to number the children of Israel.
Entered into his heart.
He's entered into his heart.
What do you mean numbered up?
A census is when you number people, like a government census.
Right.
When they send a letter to your house and they want to know who's in your house, how many people are in the house, what are their job occupations, and what are their ages.
Right.
That's a census. But the Most High didn't want a census done for the children of Israel, but David instituted one anyway. He did a count. He wanted to know how many were the children of Israel. Because the scriptures say that the children of Israel are numbered as the sands of the sea. But David wanted to know. So he caused a census to be done, a count to be done. And the Most High was angry with that because he didn't want Israel to be counted.
Oh, okay.
So there was the destruction that we're reading about now that fell upon Jerusalem was in repercussion and consequence of David doing the census. So David right here is admitting to the Most High that I'm the one that caused this census. I'm the one that caused these angels to come destroy your people. Don't take it out on them. This was my decision. This was my idea. Read that part again.
Come. And David said unto the Most High, is it not I that commanded the people to be numbered?
Go ahead.
Even I it is that have sinned and done evil indeed.
Go ahead.
But as for these sheep, what have they done?
He said, but as to these sheep, he's calling the children of Israel what?
Sheep.
Sheep. He said, what did they do wrong? He said, man, they didn't do nothing wrong. I'm the one to blame. It's my fault. Read on.
Let thy hand, I pray thee, O Lord, my power, be on me.
He said, let your hand be on me. Take out the destruction on me, not the people. Read.
And on my father's house, but not on thy people,
Go ahead.
that they should be plagued. Then the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David, that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan.
All right, so we got that point. So what's the point of this verse right here? He's showing what? That the angel was sent by the Most High to execute wrath, destruction upon the people because of David's decision. And so David actually saw the angel in the midst of destroying and rent his clothes and it was in sackcloth, pleading to the Most High to pull back the destruction that the angel was causing. Showing you that this is controlled by the Most High. The Most High dictates when and how much force is going to be poured out by these angels when it comes to destruction. All right, so we understand that, right? All right, Job chapter 37, verse 9.
What's a threshing?
Threshing floor is where you thresh wheat.
Okay. Oh, it's like the altar.
Like a mill house. Job 37 and 9.
Like, you know, when you go to work and there's sawdust everywhere, that y'all cut a lot of wood.
Right.
So threshing floor, there's, chaff from wheat because they've been breaking off.
You beat the kernels out of the wheat. You beat it, and the wheat, the kernels will fall out of the staff, and then the stalk, which is the chaff. That's the stalk.
But why did he want him to go there though?
Because no,
He said it twice.
But that's where he was located. He was just saying he was located at the threshing floor of Ornan. That's where he was located.
Okay.
That was just showing you his location.
Okay.
All right. Job 37 verse 9. Let's read that.
Job 37, verse 9. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and cold out of the mouth. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and cold out of the north.
So we're here just recapping from last week, and we're just going to add on to where we finished at last week. Read on.
Come, verse 10. By the breath of the Most High, frost is given.
He said, by the Most High's breath, frost is what?
Frost
It's
is given.
Who's ordaining the cold weather?
Most High.
The Most High is. Read on.
And the breath of the waters is straight.
Go ahead. And he's saying, when water freezes, who determines when it freezes? The Most High. Read on.
Also, by watering, he weareth the thick cloud. He scattereth his bright cloud, and is turned round about his counsels.
It says, and it's turned about by his what?
Counsels.
So who's controlling the weather?
Or is it as a council?
Direction.
Counsel means advice.
Oh, okay.
So who's controlling the weather?
The Most High.
By what? By his angels. But it's coming from him.
Right.
For example, we got to read this real quick. The global record. This just happened a couple days ago.
The global record is a preliminary one, but it's another indication of how fast the world is heating up.
Go ahead.
As the arrival of the natural climate phenomenon El Nino.
They call it a phenomenon.
Yeah.
The Earth just hit a temperature, as far as in general, talking about the Earth as a whole, just broke a record for the hottest temperature that it's ever been recorded on Earth as a whole.
Yeah. Wow. Really?
Yes. So they're calling this a what?
A phenomenon.
They call it a phenomenon. What's a phenomenon?
A natural.
It's an unknown, unexplainable event.
Right.
It's an unknown, unexplainable event. You can't explain it. Nobody knows what the reason why. They don't know what it's doing. They don't know why it's doing so. They just say this is an unnatural phenomenon. The globe is warming up hotter than it's ever been. Ever. Read?
God.
Which
No, not you. It's right here.
which has a warming effect, is layered on top of climate change fueled global heating. It is not a record to celebrate, and it won't be a record for long.
Oh man.
With Northern Hemisphere summer still mostly ahead and El Nino developing, said Frederick
Oh man, they blaming it on who?
the
El
child.
Nino.
El Nino.
They blame it on El Nino. Once again, they can't see who's controlling the weather.
Right.
They can't see who's behind the weather.
They can even blame it on the vehicles and the industry and
Yeah.
but actually it's at the end of the day it's God.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we're showing. Is that modern science has no idea why this is happening and who's controlling it. They call it a phenomenon. They call it a phenomenon. You can't explain it, and it's it said this is the cause of El Nino. They've given it a name. You know, so this particular weather pattern. Read on.
It says says Frederick Otto, senior lecturer in climate science.
He's the senior lecturer
Son of a gun.
in climate science. So the senior lecturer says this is a phenomenon that's caused by El Nino. Read on.
Stupid.
At
Grantham.
And he's the best of the best.
Hey, Esau
He's-
runs it off.
He's the best. He's the best of the science and climate industry right here. Read.
It says at the Grantham Institute of Climate Change and the Environment in the UK. This year has already seen heat records broken around the world with devastating consequences. In the U.S.,
That's it right there.
Okay.
We get the point. What's the point?
The Most High is in control.
The Most High got the weather heating up. He's got the earth heating up.
Right.
And he's got it in triple digits. He's got it in never seen. We're at a point in history where we've never been before. We're at a point of history that we've never seen before, where the earth is literally burning up, and we've never been here. And all they can say is it's a phenomenon. That's all they can say. It's El Nino. So he's showing you. So when we read the Bible, we got to see things from a different lens. We have to see things from a different perspective. All right, where we at in Job?
Job 37, verse 12. And is turned round about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commandeth them upon the face of the world and the earth.
So who's controlling the clouds and the weather? The Most High. He's directing every storm, every drought, every famine, every fire, every temperature. He's controlling all of it. Read on.
Come, verse 13. He caused it to come, whether for correction.
And now he's showing you that the angels that the Most High uses will institute these weather changes. He says, but they have three purposes. He says they come for what?
Correction.
He said the angels will come in the form of weather for what?
For correction.
For correction. What else?
Or for his land.
To water the crops. So if the rain hits the land, the Most High knows the land needs water. He'll water his plants. So we know it's for correction, for the sake of the earth, so it can grow. What else?
Or for mercy.
Or the Most High will give mercy to a place that has been having triple digits. So it's showing you that the Most High is in control, and he has three main purposes to deliver his storms. It could be for correction. It could be because the earth needs hydration. Or it could be that the Most High is extending mercy on people that have been living in drought conditions. Now we know from last year, when you look at California, California was facing San Diego and LA on up was facing horrific droughts, and all their reservoirs were getting to the point where you could see the pumps.
that's crazy, bro.
You can see the water pumps that the city municipalities use to pump water to the pumps were showing. And then one of the pumps that was built in the 1950s, it got so low, they read an inscription on the pump. It says, if you see this inscription, you're in trouble.
That's not cool.
They wrote that on the pumps in the 50s.
Wow.
But nobody saw it until last year. That's how low the water was.
You in trouble.
You're in trouble.
That's scary.
And I could be misquoting the inscription,
Yeah.
but it was something to that degree. that if you see this inscription, you're in trouble. But you're not supposed to see the damn pumps that pump the water to the cities. That's how low the water was.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Could it be also that he's bringing into description of the end of the end of time?
Well, it's all these things. It could be all these things. Yes, you're right. But it's also, it don't have to be the end for the Most High to use the weather. It don't have to be the end for the Most High to utilize his angels. He said it could be for correction.
Yeah.
It could be for the land, or it could be for mercy. It could be for either one.
Do what you want.
And it could be simultaneous. And that's what we're going to show right now. Read that last part right there.
Job 37, verse 13. He caused it to come, whether for correction, or for his land, or for mercy.
Read.
Verse 14. Hearken unto this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wondrous works of the Most High.
He said, and consider what?
The wondrous works of the Most High.
He said, the reason I want you to pay attention to what I'm doing is because he's showing Job, I'm in control. When he says to Job, stand still and consider what does it mean to consider? I want you to think about this. I want you to think about who's in control. I want you to pay attention to the weather, and I want you to see what I'm doing. So not for you to blame it on El Nino, not so you can blame it on greenhouse gases, global warming, carbon emissions, plastic in the ocean. Not so you can blame it on these things. He said, I want you to consider because I'm the one doing it.
Come.
Wow.
That's what he said. I want you to consider, stand back and pay attention to this. All right? So Job needs to see who's in control. And the Most High wants us to know that he's in control. All right? Read on. Jump down to verse, no, stop right there. Hold this right there. He says, consider the what?
It says, and consider the wondrous works of the Most High.
He said, consider the wondrous works of the Most High. Now, we just went last week. I know we're kind of recapping and adding on to last week's class. But last week, we went into Dead Man Walking, like Dawiyah brought up, which was a tornado that hit General, Texas in like 1985. And the Native Americans say that when you see the Dead Man Walking, which is a multi-vortex tornado, he says that you're a dead man. Prepare yourself to die. And I know we played the audio from the video, but the natives understand this. They've been here before the white man colonized America. They understand the weather patterns. So what is it that they don't understand that we don't understand? I want you to get this from me, Dawiyah. I want you to read this, and you can have a seat, and you can hold where you are in. You can hold. Yeah. Read this right here. This is from an article called from Reuters. You can write this down. It's called Oklahoma Native Americans Tame Twisters with Ancient Rituals. All right.
Wow.
I want you can write this down. Oklahoma Native Americans Tame Twisters with Ancient Rituals. It was an article done by Reuters. All right. All right. Let's read that.
Oklahoma Native American tame twisters with ancient rituals. It says tornadoes are easy to spot.
It says the Native Americans say what?
Tornadoes are easy to spot.
They say we see these things coming. The natives with no Doppler radar, no sophistication, no satellites,
No computer systems.
no computer systems, no hot air balloons, no weather balloons. He says it says tornadoes are easy to what?
Easy to spot if one listens to the world around them. Yellow Man said.
Yellow Man is one of the priests of one of the tribes. He says if you pay attention to the world, he says tornadoes are easy to spot. Go ahead.
Nature will tell you.
He said nature will tell you, man, that they coming. Read.
Said Yellow Man. Also a Sundance priest of his tribe. The land talks to the Cheyenne.
To Cheyenne.
To Cheyenne.
To the Cheyenne Indians, he says the land talks to us. The land speaks to us. Read.
Tells us that tornado is coming.
He said the land tells us that the tornado is coming.
That's crazy, guys.
with no computer system,
That's wild, bro.
living on reservations.
But they're that tuned in.
They're that tuned in to nature. He said they tell us that it's coming. Go ahead.
The leaves of the trees whisper warnings, he said, flipping themselves over in
He
supplication.
said when the leaves flip over, he says they're begging for supplication. They're praying.
Wow.
Right,
He said so the natives pay attention to that.
right, right.
We depend on Doppler forecasts and the latest meteorologists to give us the news. The 5 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, or the Weather Channel. We depend on the Weather Channel to tell us what's coming. We checking our phones. He said, man, they checking outside. He said the leaves turn over and tell them. And they're begging. They're begging and praying. Read on.
Flipping themselves over in supplication to the angry skies. The birds warn by quieting their songs.
He says the
Wow.
birds get quiet. They stop
Wow.
singing. What else?
Livestock file to far ends of fenced-in fields to escape a storm they know is coming.
So the birds know a storm is coming. The leaves know a storm is coming.
Wow.
And the cows know the storm is coming. But man, they don't know.
Birds
man.
don't know.
Why is that? Ecclesiastes 39 and 24.
Ecclesiastes 39 verse 24.
How were we at Job?
It says, as his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked.
He said, but to the wicked, he said that care about science, that put their trust in science and technology, and their fancy meters and their multi-million-dollar systems. He said that it's what? It's stumbling blocks.
Right.
So it's easy to see if you have respect to the Most High, if you have reverence to the Most High, you can understand what it is that's coming to you. You let that go, and you can read this right here.
I almost said that was kind of vain of the Indians to be saying all that. God turned it on them.
Well, no, they're tuned
No,
in.
but,
They know the Most High is.
hey, it's in the Bible.
Read this right here.
Right here?
Mhm.
Again?
Mhm.
But Yellow Man and a small group of elders huddled to perform an ancient ritual that would turn the tornado away.
He says they perform an ancient ritual that turns the tornado away. How so? Read.
We spoke to it in our language, he said.
He said we spoke to it in our language. He said we speak to it in our language. Now, give me this part right here. Give me this part right here. No, read on. Matter of fact, read on. That's perfect.
After the ceremony, whose details are hidden to outsiders.
He said we don't disclose
That's good.
what we talk about and what we say to the tornadoes. This is in Oklahoma, Tornado Alley, right in the middle. He said we
It's
don't,
always, they always got tornadoes rocking over there.
many of them, multiple tornadoes a day.
April to August.
He said they can average 50 a day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's real. Them sirens go off all day.
Yeah, you've been there.
I know.
So he said that we don't disclose our rituals to the outsiders. Read.
It says, to protect its potency, the tornado barreling toward the Native American tribe in the red dirt state took an unexpected turn and veered away.
They said the weathermen realized that the tornado was changing direction. It said the tornado hardly ever changes direction. Read this part right here.
Nelson lives in a small town just a few miles southwest of Moore.
And we know how bad the tornado was that hit Moore, Oklahoma. That was one of the most devastating on record, besides the other one, El Reno. But the one in Moore, Oklahoma was like a mile wide. And it left nothing in its path. Read.
The place, he told me, where storms are born. It's less dangerous, he said. They'll touch down out there and then track northeast.
He says normally tornadoes flow in a northeastern direction. When you look at Tornado Alley coming out of Texas, they go up to a northeastern direction. He said, but these particular times when these tornadoes get to these reservations, they take weird turns. They don't follow normal paths. Read?
They always seem to track north and east. I've rarely seen one going south. I've never seen one going west. It's always west to east.
It's always coming from the west, going to the east. They know this. But we're going to find out why these tornadoes take these weird turns. Continue.
It says, unexpected turn. So the Red Dirt State took an unexpected turn and veered away to move not part of any computer modeling for the funnel cloud.
It says, and it moved in a way that no computer modeling could pick up. No radar system or weather system understood or was able to compute why this damn tornado was all of a sudden changing directions. It was undescribable. It says no computer data was preparing them for this weird turn that this tornado took. Read on.
The El Reno tornado on May 31st, 2013 was one of the widest recorded and at 2.6 miles.
So the tornado on the ground was 2.6 miles wide. 2.6 miles wide. I don't know if anybody ever run 2 miles.
Amazing, bro.
But yeah, a 2.6 miles is almost a 5K. That's almost 5 kilometers. You're running, the marathon is 3.1, 5K is 3.1. You're almost running a 5K marathon. And then, that takes, for those that can do it, 15 minutes, 11 minutes. Some people do it 19 minutes, 25. That's a long distance, bro.
Yeah.
2.6 miles, read.
And killed 8 motorists. 4 of them so-called storm chasers.
And 4 of them was what? They was their data, their weather balloons, their data systems, the Doppler.
Underwater.
It couldn't give them no reading. They weren't prepared for it. Read.
It hit just days after a tornado killed 24 people in the Oklahoma City suburb of Moore.
So this one hit right after the Moore tornado.
Wow.
And we're gonna read about that one too. That was horrendous. That one ripped up whole school buildings, just to slabs. Go ahead.
Although there is no scientific data to prove it, the ritual seems to work.
They said, Esau say, we don't know what the hell these yellow man and his priests are doing, but whatever he's doing is working. We can't describe it. We have no idea why these tornadoes are not hitting these reservations as often, and why we can't predict them, and why we got the best, most scientific data available known to man, and we cannot predict their turns, and we cannot. It's a guessing game. We don't know where they're going. Read.
Officials in tornado-prone Oklahoma said Native American lands have suffered relatively less damage over the past 60 years from the twisters that have destroyed tens of thousands of structures in the other parts of the state.
Whoa, wait a minute, man.
Y'all ready to guess?
Wait a minute, man.
That's amazing.
Are you serious? Read.
Officials in tornado-prone Oklahoma.
It says officials in tornado-prone Oklahoma. Go ahead.
Said Native American lands have suffered relatively less damage over the past 60 years from twisters that have destroyed tens of thousands of structures in other parts of the state.
It said, why the hell is the reservations not getting hit as much? It said the rest of the state, tens of thousands of structures are getting hit. In 60 years, they barely get hit. What the hell are they doing?
That's amazing, bro.
What are they doing?
Hey, but I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When did you come across this information? I've never heard this before.
This information came out. Write this down. This information came out predominantly from a New York Times article by an intern who did a study of a retiring meteorologist. I think his name was Gary England. And Gary England was known, they called him the weather god of Oklahoma. And he retired. But, and he was using, they said he would know when a tornado was coming because he could pay attention to the skies. he could pay attention to the clouds. And pull up that article real quick. It's called "The Weather God of Oklahoma," and it was an article done by New York Times in 2013. All right, you can pull that up, and this is how long that they've been kind of like understanding that something's not right with their equipment, but these ancient peoples, these native peoples, have been surviving in these tornado zones with little damage. Not saying no damage, but little damage compared to the rest of the state. And I let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And there's a particular part because there was some regret by this weatherman that there was some regret that he after 50 years or 50 years of studying tornadoes, he never went to the reservations and asked the Indians how did they survive the tornadoes. After all them years of studying weather, he never went to the natives, his neighbors, and asked them, how do y'all survive? And that was one of his regrets. So the person that wrote this article about Gary England, he later went to the reservations and asked that question that this famous weather meteorologist failed to do so. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I want you to read this right quick that we had. I want you to read this part. Let me get it real quick. I want you to read this part right here. We're going to get straight to the point. So some of y'all may have it. Let me pull it up because it's a specific point. It's a long article, and it's a lot to read. So I'm just get to the straight point. Right here. Read this right here. It says, in the weeks after May 31st tornado. Read that. This is the guy that wrote the article.
In the weeks after the May 31st tornado, I kept remembering something Gary England told me in his office. One big regret, he said, is that although he grew up surrounded by Cheyenne people in Sling, he never asked them about tornadoes.
So he grew up right next to the natives.
Yeah.
He said, but he regretted never asking the natives, what do y'all do when y'all got tornadoes coming? How do y'all survive? Read.
He didn't know any of the tribes, severe weather folklore, or survival strategies.
He didn't know none of it. He trusted instruments.
Right.
Read.
The wisdom they must have built up over the centuries on the plains. Greg Carbon at the National Weather Service told me something similar.
He said another guy that was at the National Weather Service said the same thing. We didn't get the natives' information. We didn't get the knowledge that the natives possess on how to survive these tornadoes and what they do in preparation. Go ahead.
It's a shame, he said, but not much native lore has survived.
He thinks the knowledge is dead. Read.
Both men had an attitude of sad resignation. Despite all of our Dopplers and storm trackers.
It says, despite all of our Dopplers, storm trackers, what else?
And dominators.
Dominators was the vehicles that these storm chasers rode in that end up, they said it had iron, it was encased in like iron, and it was a vehicle that was built like a tank. It was a storm chaser.
Right.
That eventually got its roof ripped off and the people in it died. So he said, regardless of the equipment that they drove in, regardless of the systems that they trusted, read on.
The feeling seemed to be, we have lost the old wisdom forever. As I combed through the meteorological data about the tornadoes of May 31st, this loss kept cycling through my mind. Eventually, in mid-July, after Oklahoma's tornado season had given way to suffocating summer heat, I emailed the Cheyenne Nation and got in touch with a chief named Gordon Yellowman.
Oh, there's Yellowman again. Yellowman is on it.
He's on it all the
He's
time.
on it. Read.
Yellowman wouldn't tell me everything he knows.
Of course, Yellowman said we don't disclose this to outsiders. This was after the El Reno tornado. He said, we don't disclose this information to outsiders. Y'all gonna pollute it. Read on.
He knows about surviving tornadoes. The rituals are sacred, he said, and have never been shared with outsiders.
We don't share this with outsiders. That ain't for the white man to know. Read on.
But he did tell me some things. The Cheyenne language has several words for tornadoes and their related storms. Hevo,
You ain't got to.
Okay.
It's too damn hard.
tornado, big whirlwind, threatening
They
weather.
said they got different names for different weather patterns.
Types.
He said they got their own Indian names for different weather patterns. Read.
For the Cheyenne, the tornado is not some kind of evil predatory force.
He said the tornado. He says to the Cheyenne. He says that the tornado is not some evil predatory what?
Force. Or a random assault.
It's not evil. It's not a random it's mystical how this thing happened. He says no, man. He said to the Cheyenne, it's not wicked, and it's not just some random happenstance weather pattern, weird weather. Read.
From a blind and dumb atmospheric soup with no concern for human life.
Go ahead.
A tornado has a job.
He says what?
A tornado has a job.
This is speaking from the chief.
Wow.
He said the tornado has a job. Go ahead.
Yellow Man told me that is to restore balance.
He says the tornado's job is to restore what?
Balance.
Now, stop right there. You're in Job 37, right?
God.
I want you to read verse 16 now.
God. This is Job 37, verse 16. Dost thou know?
Now, this is the Most High asking Job. He said, doest thou know what?
Dost thou know balancing of the clouds?
Whoa. He says, do you understand when I bring storms? He says, I'm bringing what?
Balancing of the clouds?
Man, did Yellow Man know the Bible or something?
Wow, bro.
The Yellow Man know the Bible. How did they know, the Native Americans know, that the storms aren't evil and there aren't some weird weather pattern? He says they bring balance to the land. The Most High just asked Job the same question. Doest thou know what?
Dost thou know the balancing of the clouds?
He said, do you know how I balance the clouds? I understand. The Most High understands how he's balancing the clouds. We just read that the storms are coming for 3 reasons. What are they?
God, verse 13. He calls it to come, whether for correction
He said it comes for correction. What else?
or for his land
To bring water to the land, or what else?
or for mercy.
He said, or he brings mercy. It's mercy. The natives understand this. They understand that it's a balance of power. That's what he asked Job. Do you understand that this is a balancing of? Do you understand the balancing of the clouds? Read on.
The wondrous works of him which is perfect in knowledge.
He says, do you know what I'm doing? I have everything weighed out. I have every storm in measure. I have the destructive force in measure. I have its potency in measure. I have its wind speed in measure. I have its rainfall in measure. I have the death toll in measure. Most I say he got it all. Read.
God, verse 17. Verse 17.
Yeah, just that last part of 16.
That was it.
Yeah, he says, and the wondrous works of him which is perfect in what?
In knowledge.
In knowledge. He said, my knowledge is perfect. And when I deliver these elements on earth, it satisfies me to perfection. The natives understand this. Read that part again right here. That last part?
A tornado has a job, Yellow Man told me, and that is to restore balance to the environment. The tornado speaks to the native people in their respective tribal languages.
He says
Wow.
the tornado talks to us in our tribal language. Come on, bro. You mean Doppler don't do that? Radar don't do that? Read?
In a voice that sounds like fire.
He said the voice sounds like fire, but we understand the voice. Read?
Before it reaches the tribal land, the tornado tells the elders how big it's going to be.
He says the tornado talks to the elders. It tells them how big it's going to be. What else?
Not in the technical language of the EF scale,
Like EF1, EF2, EF3, EF5, which is the biggest. Go ahead.
but in colloquial terms. Small, medium, big, huge. The tornado of May 31st was huge. Yellow Man is 55 and lives in El Reno. Late on the afternoon of May 31st, as the EF5 was bearing down on his city, he and 4 other Cheyenne holy men stood in their homes and enacted the ancient rituals. They spoke with the tornado. They asked it to have pity and turn away.
Oh, they asked the tornado for what?
For pity.
For mercy.
God.
Just like what the Most High said. He said this weather is also for what? For mercy. It's for correction. It's for the land. And it's also for mercy. He said these elders was wise enough to understand to call and ask this storm for what? For mercy. Have pity on us. Is that some odd thing? Is it not now understood how they've been evading tornadoes for 60 years and have incurred the least amount of damage in all of Oklahoma? And they're in direct damn line of destruction, in the path of destruction. Because they're asking the tornado for what?
Mercy.
For mercy. And the Most High said that's exactly one of the things that he said the tornado was for. It's coming to give mercy. So sometimes it's simultaneous. While the tornado is having mercy on one people, it's doing what? It's destroying the other people with all the fancy equipment, with all the fancy technology, and all the fancy knowledge and all the fancy gadgets. They're being overthrown and destroyed while these other people are getting mercy. Yellow Man on this point. Same thing. Randy Pepler, another meteorologist.
Randy Pepler, Associate Director of the Cooperative Institute for Mesoscale Meteorological Studies,
He's the director. Go ahead.
has worked with Kiowa, Apache, Wichita, and Comanche tribes to study what they have learned from nature to predict weather.
So now this one man said, I'm not gonna let this knowledge. He said these natives understand something we don't. So the director of meteorological studies at the Institute of Mesosake Meteorology Studies said we're gonna learn from them. Read.
It also shows that Esau's always going to Gad for information, bro.
Yeah.
To survive on this.
To survive. Yeah.
To this day.
We know what happened in World War II. How did they use Gad in World War II? What language was it? There was Navajo. Because they knew that nobody in the world spoke what? So they shared their secrets. And they learned Navajo and shared their secrets through communication so that the Germans or any other enemies couldn't pick up and understand the language. That's other times. Yes, sir.
It's crazy. Also comparing the tornadoes to the wildfires in California, the natives in the 1850s in California, they would do cultural burnings to suppress the land. They said the land would talk to them and tell them like we need to be burned. We need to be burned to make more space in the land. But when the Spaniards came after the 1850s, they started suppressing those cultural burnings. So they said it's causing an uprising in these fires in California.
So once again, the natives was in tune to the land. They was in tune to the spirits. And they said they spoke. They had communication. Read on.
The Kiowa women say tornadoes understand their language.
Once again, the Cheyenne say we communicate. They understand our language. These Kiowa tribes say what? The tornadoes understand our language. We can communicate with them. Both tribes said that. Read on.
And they can ask it for mercy.
Oh, man, once again, the Cheyennes asked for what? Pity. The Kiowa asked for what? Mercy. And what did the Most High say he give with these storms? Mercy. You know what? But you know what science don't do? Science makes you proud. You don't ask for mercy. You try to find out when, where, why. You try to pride yourself upon trying to predict its coming and foretell it and beat it to destruction, to beat your chest to make yourself look proud. He said, well, these people don't do that. These people understand the destructive force that it's about to pour out because they communicate with it. And then they come back and humble themselves through humility and ask the storm for pity and for mercy. Read.
The Wichitas hold a ritual in which they throw an axe into the ground, splitting the storm so it goes around the tribe, he said.
He said, so they gave up a little bit more information. He said they throw an axe on the ground, and they said by doing so, it symbolizes that the storm will split and go a different direction after they ask for mercy. That's some of their rituals. That we'll be done with that. Finish it right here. Pepler.
Pepler and other weather experts are still
stymied. They're still confused. Basically, stymied is they're confused. Go ahead.
On why the 2013 El Reno tornado took a sharp turn south.
Now we just read that the tornadoes go in what kind of pattern? They go in a northeastern pattern. He said we still don't understand the tornado that was 2.6 miles wide. Why all of a sudden it turned south? We don't get it. Read.
When their forecast had it continuing on a northeastern path. Yellowman attributed to the sacred ritual of talking to the tornado.
He said the priest of the chief of the natives said what? We know why it went south. We know why that tornado didn't come through us. We know why it didn't go through the reservation. Y'all may not understand. He said, but we understand why it went south. Because we did a ritual and that thing turned and destroyed everybody else but us. Go ahead.
The meteorologist said that never happened.
He said it never turned south. Why did it turn? It never turned south. Go ahead.
But we know why. Yellow Man said.
But Yellow Man said what?
We know why.
We know why. He might have said it in a real Gadite voice. We know why. White man. Pale face. Pale face. We know.
Tornadoes, they run towards the city. Oklahoma City, Tulsa.
Didn't one hit Miami before?
Oh yeah, man. They'll tear them cities up.
Now let's finish that part. We done with that in Job, right?
Yeah.
We done with that in Job. So we understand the who's controlling the weather. The Most High. And he's using who?
His angels.
His angels. And these natives are humble enough to speak and ask for mercy, just like Job said. All right, we understand that point. So it's no mystery. If we consider it, just like the Most High told Job to consider the wondrous works of the Most High, we can get some understanding. And on your own time, if you make the time, read the whole article. Read both articles. They're both great. Both of them are great. Because what they do is show you that you can have the best equipment in the world. You can have the most sophisticated equipment in the world. You can have the latest and greatest radar. You can have weather balloons. You can have projectiles. You can have drones. They give you data. You can have all these things. But none of these things can give you mercy. They can only give you a head start. And sometimes that's not even enough. Yes, sir.
The first individual you mentioned was Gary England. And
England.
who's the other individual you mentioned?
The other gentleman was
Greg Pepper?
his name was Pebbles.
Pepler, right?
Randy Pepler. Randy Pepler. He was the one humble enough to go to the natives and ask for knowledge and assistance. But Randy England didn't. He said he regretted after doing 50 years of meteorology, never asked the natives, and he grew up right next to them. But they had a way of survival that obviously steered destruction away from them. And it was through humility. All right? So we understand that. So now let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 39, and now let's read verse 30.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 30.
Read that.
It says, teeth of wild beasts, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction.
He says, teeth of wild beasts. These are animals, but we know what spirit is in these animals. Spirits of the Most High. These angels are manipulating these animals to bring terror. These are spirits created for vengeance. He'll use terrestrial creatures to implement earthly damage. But celestial bodies utilizing these creatures. Read.
Verse 31. They shall rejoice.
No. He said teeth of wild beasts, right? What else?
And scorpions.
What else?
Serpents.
Read.
And the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction.
Go ahead.
They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth.
These spirits are ready where?
Upon earth.
These spirits are ready on earth. Go ahead.
When need is.
It says when need is. We understand that? What does that mean?
They're on standby.
They're on standby.
Whatever the Most High says.
They're on command. When necessary. When they're needed. So these spirits are already on earth waiting to pour out their force and their destruction, ready to adhere to the Most High's commands. Ready for instruction from the Heavenly Father. They're ready. They're posted up. They're on guard. They're on duty. So he said when need is. So let's go look at one of the examples. Numbers chapter 21, next brother, verse 4. So they're there when they're needed. Teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents.
And this always happens, bro. You always hear these crazy stories, bro.
Yeah. Nope.
Snakes going to people's houses up.
There's an alligator just went in somebody's house through the doggy door. The dog just kept barking, man. And they didn't realize that a 5-foot alligator went through the doggy door.
That's amazing, bro.
You wouldn't expect it, that one. Man, imagine that.
That's scary, bro. You can't step on a cockroach out. You can cut a snake's head off out. You do the alligator in your house.
Another 2 to 3 weeks ago, a dude in Florida opened his door and the alligator bit him. He just opened the door. Right? He just stepped outside, opened the door, and got bit by alligator.
That's the Most High right there.
Probably meant to be right there.
He was just chilling at the door, bro. All he did was open the door, went out, bit him.
Yeah.
We've been talking about these shark attacks lately.
Yeah.
It's been a big thing on the news. Like 5 15-year-olds got bit by sharks this past year.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week about them great whites that ate 3 kids, right? Or one got away.
Yeah, one got away, ate 2 of them.
And what about the snake, the 15-foot python that was choking a man that the cops had to shoot?
No,
I didn't hear about that one.
That was about a week ago.
Besides getting down now.
That 15-foot alligator, police show up, man, getting squeezed out, getting choked out. 15-foot snake. They had to shoot him. Bow. But it's showing you the Most High got these animals ready. They on what?
Standby.
Yes, sir.
Y'all pulled out the other day that there was a headless snake that bit. He cut the head of the snake and still bit him.
Man, that's crazy. What you got?
Yeah.
I'll say, even the alligators are moving up, actually. You talking about? Yeah, they're moving up.
They're no longer staying in the Everglades.
Yeah, they're trying to find the alligators.
They're running from the python.
Yeah.
Rio Grande up?
No, we got alligators in south of San Antonio, and we're way up from the damn Gulf. We're far from the Gulf,
Yeah.
and damn subtropical climate.
Yeah. There's
Low
no reason
elevation.
why they can't live
Brother,
there.
they're here. They're here. They just found a 14-foot alligator in a small town, like on the outskirts of our city, on the highway in Pleasanton, crossing the street.
Oh my God, bro.
They here, bro. 14 feet. They're not in just the Everglades anymore. They're moving up because the climate's changing. See, once it was too cold for them up north. It's not cold anymore. Remember, the earth is warming up. So their habitat is changing. They can survive and live well in northern climates.
That's good.
And they found, speaking of sharks, they found sharks, bull sharks, that swam up the Mississippi.
That's up the river, right?
And they found them as far as Illinois. You know what Chicago is?
Yeah.
Coming from the Gulf of Mexico to Mississippi, the mouth of the Mississippi, they found bull sharks all the way up in Illinois.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Surviving. In the river.
Yeah.
Not the ocean, not the lake, in the river. Because we know bull sharks, they can breathe in salt water and fresh water.
Yeah. They even have killer whales now. They got it on video. Killer whales teaching their young ones how to flip over the boats.
Yes.
They're teaching them how to flip over the boats.
And that's an interesting, that's a great article to read too. They said it's one female that that's teaching the other ones how to break the rudders off the bottom of the boat. And so far, 3 of them have sunk. That's another great article to read if y'all get a chance. Let me see if I can find that real quick. They're playing with these ships for fun, and they say once they sink the boat, they don't harm the people. They just swim off. So they know what they're doing. They know how to break the rudder off, you know, which causes a hole. Sink the damn ship, and then they swim. They ain't ate nobody, but they just doing their job.
They got their own language then, huh?
Yeah.
They got their own language.
Man, them damn dolphin porpoise family, they're smart, bro. They got big brains, bro.
Remember, there was a movie in the early '80s called Killer Fish with Orca.
Oh yeah.
Killer Orca or something like that.
Off Iberian Peninsula. Group of orcas attack and sink vessels off Iberian Peninsula.
Iberian Peninsula, Spain. Spain is Iberia. Spain and right where Africa, where the Strait of Gibraltar is, that little narrow passage. In between that little passage, they have boat races. They have yacht races. So these are $1 million boats that they're sinking. These are $1 million boats.
I love it.
They're doing yacht races in between, right off the coast of the Strait of Gibraltar, which is in the Iberian Peninsula, and they're sinking. One guy got attacked twice already. He said, "Not again."
I give you another one.
My first reaction was
They're
please.
finding out that these orcas, they're different. There's different ones around the world, and you just can't. They tried to catch them and put them in the same aquarium, and they would kill each other because they're not. Those ain't they people.
So,
Orcas is racist.
Hey man, there's different ones, bro.
Yeah, racist.
You know?
They got this documentary also called Blackfish. It's about SeaWorld, how they were.
Oh, that
taking
was
orcas.
sad, bro. When they
was.
took that baby and that mother started screaming.
And the mother, later on, they tried to put her in the shows and stuff, and it bit off one of the SeaWorld workers' heads, the trainers. It swallowed them whole and spit out their head, just their head.
Yeah.
They beheaded it.
And then they were talking about.
if you got, read this one. This is a great one. It says orcas have sunk 3 boats in Europe and appear to be teaching others to do the same. But why? I don't know why, but why? We don't know why they're teaching and training other orcas how to sink boats.
It's the new thing.
Yeah.
But
So
what was crazy is, you remember when they said they, all of these orcas at different aquariums around the world attacked people all at the same time within 1 to 2 days. They were killing and
something's giving them instruction.
Hey,
So now
Hey,
let's
you know
let's
what?
hold on a second. Let's go here. We got to go here. Where we at in Numbers 21? Because we're gonna get to them too.
That's right.
Let's first deal with these serpents. Because he said teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, and serpents. Let's deal with these serpents. Deal with these land creatures first. Go ahead.
Numbers 21 and verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Or by the way of the Red Sea,
Go ahead.
come past the land of Edom.
Read.
And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way.
It said, and their soul was what?
Much discouraged because of the way.
So the people didn't want to go. They just came out of the Horims, where Petra is, which used to belong to the Horites before Esau stole it from the Horims. So then they left Horem, and then they come into Compassion Edom, and which is another mountainous range. But he said the people started getting vexed. They started complaining. Read.
And the people spake against the Most High.
And they did what?
They spake against the Most High.
So,
That's not good.
This Edomite?
yeah, no, this is Israel wandering in the wilderness that didn't want to go in that direction. That all of a sudden started complaining, and they spake against the Most High. Read.
And against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness?
He said, "What you bring us up out of?" Now they talking again. What did you bring us up here for? To die? Read.
For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread.
They complaining, man. Ain't no bread. There's no water, and I don't like my condition. I don't like my living condition. Does that sound familiar? How often do we start complaining because we don't like our living condition? You know, the Most High got a name for that. Hold that and go to Ecclesiastes 46 and read verse 7. Yep.
Done. Ecclesiasticus chapter 46, verse 7. In the time of Moses, also he did a work of mercy.
It said so. What people don't realize is that all the time that you appear like he's like he has a problem with you, and he's unsatisfactory as a leader, as a power to trust, as a God to put your trust in, because you're ungrateful and unthankful.
Right.
And Moses was actually the one withstanding the Most High's hand from the children of Israel. Read that part again.
God, this is Ecclesiasticus 46 and 7. In the time of Moses, also he did a work of mercy. He and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and that day withstood the congregation.
Go ahead.
And withheld the people from sin.
He said they withheld the people from sin by what?
And appeased the wicked murmuring.
He said they appeased the what?
The wicked murmuring.
He called it wicked murmuring. Every time you complain about your living condition, you're wicked. You're doing wicked murmurings.
And you're appeasing the devil.
No. You're pissing off the Most High.
Oh, I thought.
Moses was interceding between the Most High and the people, so that the Most High didn't smash him.
Right.
But they kept constantly doing this wicked murmuring.
Oh, yeah.
They kept constantly complaining about their condition. They just ungrateful. That's our people. I don't like where I live at. I don't like my living condition. I don't like my house. I don't like my social status. I don't like my income. I don't like what's in my refrigerator. I don't like what's in my cabinet. I don't like the money I make. I don't like the car I got. I don't like my spousal situation, my relationship situation. All that is wicked murmuring. This is what we do. But who gonna stand between you and the Most High when you got that wicked murmuring? We take advantage and crucify Christ afresh. Every time we complaining, we put Christ right back on the cross and crucify him.
Oh, yeah.
Every time we complaining. Ungrateful people, bro. Read on.
Verse 8.
Yeah.
Verse 8. And of the 600,000 people on foot.
He said out of the 600,000 people on foot that was in the wilderness. Read.
They too were preserved.
Only 2 was preserved.
2 people.
Out of 600,000 people in the wilderness, only 2 made it out.
Get out of here.
No. Who was it?
I didn't know that.
Joshua and Caleb.
My church made me feel like
Yeah.
they made it.
No. Well, your church lied to you, bro.
I know.
He wasn't reading that.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
Your church gave you a story. They blew smoke, bro.
Son of a gun.
They hit you with the Mondo magic. So he said, out of 600,000, only 2 made it out. Because obviously, 599,998 was doing what? Complaining. They was complaining. And the Most High weeded out the complainers. Everybody got a problem with their condition. The Most High weed you out.
Right.
Facts.
He got something for you. Read, finish that.
It says, another 600,000 people on foot, they too were preserved to bring them into the heritage,
Only 2 made it to the land of milk and honey. Read.
even unto the land that floweth with milk and honey.
That's it. Only 2. Only two survivors, bro. Only 2.
That's not funny, but it's
Oh,
sad.
so what? They perished, even the rest of
No.
the ones that crossed the river to fight the tall ones
Giants?
over there.
Wow.
They all got slaughtered in just 2.
They didn't make it. Their children made it in. And even though their children made it in, their children had to get recircumcised all over again
Wow.
and re-educated.
Wow.
Because the Most High didn't want them to duplicate the actions of their forefathers.
Right. Right.
So what does the Most High do with complainers? Back to Numbers chapter 21. Who got it?
Numbers 21 and verse 6. And the Lord sent fiery serpents.
Fiery serpents. The fiery, call it fiery because of the poison burns as it enters your body.
Oh,
That's why they're called fiery.
That makes sense, huh?
There's fiery because the poison burns in your flesh. Once you get bit by these serpents, it burns, bro. That venom is when it's in your bloodstream, it is burning you.
Not like a bee sting or a
No,
hornet sting. That kind of burn. It's way worse.
it's way worse, bro. It's burning as it's traveling through your system, as it's shutting your organs down, shutting your lungs down, shutting your kidneys down, your liver down. It's everywhere. That's what the Most High got set up for complainers. You don't like your condition? It's okay. I got something for you. A hot bite. Read.
And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people.
Yes.
No, I was like, yes. Yes.
We deserve that. We complain like
I
crazy.
gotta cheer them on. More bites. Read.
And much people of Israel died.
Go ahead.
Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned.
Now the humility comes.
Oh.
Now the humility.
Now you recognize what you did, huh?
Now we must be mistaken. We must be mistaken. You know what I'm saying? I apologize. Read.
For we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people.
And Moses did what?
Prayed for the people.
He said, and Moses prayed for the people. Read.
And the Lord said unto Moses.
So now, when you look at what people do, we got to read verse 1 real quick. Start at verse 1 real quick and read down to verse 4. Because what you're witnessing is a common thing. Every time our people run out of faith, they start complaining. Every time you run out of faith, you start complaining.
That's true.
Prove it. Let's read. Start at verse 1.
Numbers chapter 21 verse 1. And when King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel, and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites.
So Israel made a vow to the Most High. They said what? Read that vow again.
Come. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites.
So they just tasted victory. They just came off of victory. That means the Most High heard them. They vowed a vow. They destroyed the Horus. Just coming off of victory. You just witnessed the Most High in your corner. You just watched the Most High stabilize you and keep you up and sustain you.
Kind of just like Egypt.
Yeah.
We watched the Egyptians perish in the water.
Yep. And still what? After 3 days we did what? Complain. See, the thing of it is, a lot of us complain at home. when ain't nobody around.
Right.
Or you complain to your significant other. But you complaining to somebody. You don't like something about what you do for the Most High. Sometimes you go to the ungodly. People that ain't even in this truth. People that don't even have no knowledge. But you're doing what? Complaining about what you do for the Most High. But the Most High hear all that. Read.
And they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hermah.
Go ahead.
And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against the Most High and against Moses. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness?
You just came off a victory.
Crazy.
How you got something to say and you just came off a victory? Just because your condition changed slightly, then because your condition changes, you run out of faith. So then you start talking smack. Philippians 2:14.
And all of that is disrespectful.
Is deserving of punishment.
2 and 15.
Yes, sir.
Philippians 2 and verse 15.
Watch the cameras, guys. Watch the cameras. Thank you.
That ye may be blameless and harmless.
You're supposed to be what?
Blameless and harmless.
You're supposed to be blameless in your servitude to the Most High in Christ. You're supposed to be what?
And harmless.
Blameless and harmless.
Harmless.
Wow.
You shouldn't have a grudging heart. You shouldn't have a complaining mind. You shouldn't be talking smack about what you do for the Lord. And if he occupies your time, so what? If you haven't had a day off, so what? You haven't had time for yourself, so what? You don't make enough money, so what? He said you're supposed to be blameless. Go ahead.
And harmless. The sons of the Most High. Without rebuke. In the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. Among whom ye shine as lights in the world.
He said you're supposed to shine as lights in the world. Read on.
Holding forth the word of life.
Read.
That I may rejoice in the day of Yahushua. That I have not run in vain. Neither labored in vain.
All right. Now we just got a report from a sister that says she grew up on a reservation. And there's rattlesnakes all around the reservation houses. She said, but never heard of natives getting bit. Only hear of white people getting bit.
Wow.
We would go on walks through the sagebrush, and they'd be chilling in the shade under the brush, but they would rattle to warn that they're nearby. But only white people got bit.
That's crazy.
And this is coming from somebody that grew up on a reservation. Showing you what? Hey, bro. Most High got it out. For somebody.
You got it out for somebody.
Out for somebody.
Something burning somebody up.
Yeah. That venom is burning somebody
Yeah.
from the inside. He said so. Let that go. That was Philippians 2, right?
God.
All right. Let's go back to where we was at in Numbers 21 and verse 5.
God. Numbers 21 and verse 5. And the people spake against the Most High and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness?
Go ahead.
For there is no bread,
It says, for there is no bread. Read.
neither is there any water.
We don't got no water. Go ahead.
And our soul loatheth this light bread.
And we can't stand this little thin bread that we got. It's not filling enough. It's not satisfactory. Read.
And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people.
Now, this fiery serpent has two definitions. One is a poisonous serpent, and the other one is a majestic being with 6 wings, human head, and the voices, human heads and voices in attendance of the Most High. So we know that the two definitions, yes.
Lovely, I have a question.
What you got, sis?
So what would be the difference between complaining versus confessing?
Confessing is when you confess to a counselor and you look to be chastised for what you have to say or redirected, and you're looking to come clean from your thought process, some of us complain, and in the midst of when somebody's trying to redirect and reroute you from that complaint, you say, I didn't call you for that. I just called you for you to listen, to vent. I didn't call you to tell me how to redirect my mind. So then that means you just want to complain then. You had no desire to be redirected. You had no desire to think again what thoughts you had that had you going in the perverse manner. So there's a huge difference from complaining versus confessing. Confessing is also which we went through this a couple of weeks ago, about letting it be known where I've sinned.
Yeah.
I'm admitting where I'm wrong at. Not I just want to talk and complain and vomit on you. I can tell you where I've messed up. But as soon as you start analyzing where people mess up, in the midst of them giving you their vomit, they shut off and they don't want to hear that. You're always trying to redirect me.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
I didn't call for this.
Doesn't it say, admonish thy friend? It may that be he have not done it. It may that be he have not said it. But if he did, that he said no more, that he do it no more. So you're not looking for no admonishment. And admonishment is not even heavy. Admonishment is mild correction.
Wow.
But a lot of our people don't even want the mild correction. They just want to complain, spit, vomit, and pour out their disgust on you and expect you to sit there and listen. And then when you come with some scriptures to redirect and rearrange that mind, they reject them. Because that's not what the call was for. The call was just to complain. And also, the complaint, it goes more than just what you do for the Most High. Go to 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 9.
First Peter chapter 5, verse 9. Let me read.
Yeah, read that.
It says,
Hold on, let everybody get it. Hold on. Let me make sure. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. That's not what I want. Y'all make this correction real quick. Make this correction. Make this correction real quick. It's going to be give me Ecclesiastes 10 and 25. And another brother get James 5 and 9. Read that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 25. Unto the servant that is wise.
It said, if you're a wise servant, if you got some understanding, read.
Shall they that are free do service?
He says, if they that are free, you'll do what?
Service.
If you're smart, if you know what's good for you, you'll serve the Most High with no complaints. Read.
It says, and he that hath knowledge.
And if you got knowledge, if you know what's good for you, you know what's healthy for you, read on.
Will not grudge when he is reformed.
It says he will not grudge when he is what?
Reformed.
Well, so if you know what's good for you, you'll let somebody reform you. And you won't be angry when they try to reform you. You won't be upset when They got something to read. How they're telling you how to redirect the way you look at something, but you got a problem with that. Your pride kick up and buck up. You get angry. I didn't call you for that. I just called you to listen. You're supposed to listen to me vent and spit out venom. Nope, not if you wise. You won't get upset when somebody tries to reform you. You be all right. James 5 and 9. Read that.
James 5 verse 9. Where's not one against another.
And so, but a lot of times our complaints aren't just in our condition. Our complaints are with who? Each other. That's how you know it's not just venting. That's how you know it goes beyond even just the condition. Because you got a problem with who? Somebody. You got a problem with your people. You have a problem with those that are around you that serve the Lord. Read.
Grudge not one against another. Brethren, lest ye be condemned.
It says, lest you be what?
Condemned.
And what are we reading about in Numbers 21? We're reading about some serpents that are going through the multitude of the children of Israel. And the Most High is using these serpents to condemn the children of Israel. Because they're complaining. But they're complaining against who? Moses and the Most High. They're complaining about the Most High by way of Moses. They're blaming it on Moses, not recognizing that it's the Most High that's steering Moses through the wilderness. And the Most High is dictating their length of time in that condition in the wilderness based upon their level of complaints. So he's customizing the wandering in the wilderness. He's customizing the tragedy and the hardships that they're facing because they don't get it right. They're too busy looking at the people in the wrong way who's trying to intervene between them and the Father. So he's showing you there is a difference. You're not supposed to have, there's a difference between being angry with somebody and venting about your situation. If you got a problem, it's best to go get counsel. And when you do get counsel, keep your pride aside. Keep your pride aside and don't start bucking up, talking back. You hear it all the time. When you counsel people enough, they're not calling to counsel. They're calling to complain because they're frustrated. But if that's the case, then open your ears up while you're in the midst of you complaining or counseling, so to speak, or venting, so to speak. Be ready to listen. Be swift to hear. All right? Slow to speak, slow to wrath.
And when you have a grudge against someone, that's not necessarily against them. That's something against God.
Yes.
Something like
yes. He that despises man despises not man, but who? The Most High. So we got a grudge against somebody, a person. Who put that person on earth?
Right.
Who brought their spirit forth? Did you?
And that's his son, right?
Yeah, that's his child. And the scriptures say whom Christ died. Christ died for that brother or that sister. Who are you to speak against somebody that Christ died for? Right. You didn't die for that person.
Right. Okay.
Christ paid the price for that person. He paid for their blood. But what we do is we always got an opinion on people. And that's where we mess up. And that's what we're reading about in Numbers 21. Right. People's getting stung. So the serpent, verse 7 in Numbers. Back to 7. Does that help answer the question, sis? Let's get back to Numbers.
Numbers 21 and verse 7. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned.
He said, we have what?
We have sinned.
We have what?
We have sinned.
Man, we messed up. Read on.
For we have spoken against the Lord.
Go ahead.
And against thee. Pray unto the Lord, that he take away the serpents from us.
He said, pray to the Most High, that he take away the serpents from us. Now, we know the class is called, the Most High's creatures. Celestial, which we went through that. Terrestrial, we went through that last week. And the mythical. Now we got to get to the mythical, because some people say that these serpents were just some mere snakes. But when you read the Bible, they're more than just some mere snakes. Go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 6.
Isaiah 30,
He's not having it. Huh?
Most High's not
He's not
having it,
having
bro.
it. Huh?
Isaiah 30 and verse 6.
Read that.
It says, the burden of the beast of the south into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion,
Go ahead.
the viper and
Hold on. He said the viper. A viper is a what?
snake.
Is a snake.
Wow.
It's a snake. We know the viper is a snake,
All
but,
these generations of vipers.
but we know what? He ain't just talking about snakes. He said the viper and what else? We know the viper has poison, injects venom, but we're not just talking about some mere vipers. We're not just talking about no mere snakes in the wilderness. Read.
And fiery flying serpents.
Hold on. He said there's something else the Most High produced. He said he produced fiery what?
Fiery flying serpents.
That's a
He said-
fact. That's a fact right there.
Those are facts. Hold on. I'm gonna show you what it is. Go to Isaiah 14 and 29 real quick. Go to Isaiah 14 and 29. We gotta break this down. Because some people say, man, there's no such thing. What do you call a fiery flying serpent? It's a dragon, bro. People say dragons are mythical. They don't exist. We got to break this down. We want the class to be understood by children as well. A dragon's in the Bible. First of all, the word dragon is in the Bible. But we also got to understand where they come from. Let's get Isaiah chapter 14, verse 29. Let's read that.
Isaiah 14, verse 29. Rejoice not thou, O Palestina, because the road of him that smote thee is broken.
For the rod.
Slack. For the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root.
It says, for out of the serpent's what?
Root.
So, the dragons are a species of what?
Serpents.
Yes, the dragons are a species of serpents. He says, for out of the serpent's root, go ahead.
Shall come forth a cockatrice.
That word cockatrice in Hebrew actually means serpent.
And a serpent is a snake.
Yes. But from the root of a snake, from the breed of a snake, from the species of a snake, we know snakes are reptiles. They lay eggs.
Right.
The fish, birds, and reptiles lay eggs, right?
Right.
Turtles lay eggs, you know. Frogs lay tadpoles. There's still little eggs in the water. But we know that from the snake, the Most High used that species from the snake. Read.
Shall come forth a cockatrice.
And a cockatrice is a serpent. Read.
That's crazy.
And his fruit.
And the fruit of this particular serpent, of this cockatrice, read.
And his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent.
So the Most High made dragons from whose species? From the species of serpents.
So it's like an upgrade.
Yeah, that's a modification.
And watch this. Them dragons, how they got them drawn, they look like snakes with wings on them.
That's what they are.
Good Lord.
But they come from where? They come from the species
The cockatrice.
from serpents.
We just read it said it came from the root instead of the Hebrew.
Yeah. It said the cockatrice.
Yeah.
The cockatrice means serpent.
Poisonous serpent.
Poisonous serpent. Showing you that from the root or the species, the genome, the genotype, the breed, whatever you want to call it, from that species, the serpent, the snake, came the cockatrice, came the serpent, and from the fruit of the serpent came what?
Shall be a fiery flying serpent.
So, did these things actually exist? Yes. They were a particular species. Nothing but that's like the sister said. So a dragon is nothing but a snake with wings. Yes.
And that's talking reality. It ain't talking metaphorically.
So we know the Most High can create from the species or the genome of the snake. He can bring forth a snake that got wings. Think about it, bro. Cockroaches got wings, bro. These are insects that crawl. But They have wings, bro. They don't in Texas. They fly.
Hey,
Ants
close to the
in the spring when they're mounds and they're mating and they're about to spread out and their new queens about to start new hives. Them ants they peel their little wings back and they fly. Squirrels fly. Fish fly. There's flying fish.
And they even have serpents that in the Amazon that when they jump out the tree and they open their bone structure and they have a flying structure or shape. No wings, but they fly. And they navigate through the air.
They glide.
And they glide. They're gliding snakes.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. They got so why can't the Most High out of the species of the snake create a snake with wings?
At his will.
Is that hard to believe? But a lot of people say no, dragons are mythical.
This too. Also with grasshoppers, they're just grasshoppers.
Right.
So the Most High put the spirit out. They change colors, and they change their whole body transforms, and they start eating everything and flying around destroying everything. Like in like they call it I think we went over it. The Mormon grasshopper. Anyway, right now in Las Vegas, they're all over Vegas eating everything.
Yeah.
But they just grasshoppers at first until the Most High put the spirit on them. They just start transforming.
So you're showing you what? It's nothing for the Most High to create these things. We know where they come from. They come from the root of the serpent. But these in particular have wings.
That's crazy because he could theoretically do that with anything, including.
And it's bad enough that they come out the ground and pop up by surprise on you.
Yeah.
Let alone them.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's bro.
Black people.
A lot of us don't even like it when they're on the ground, when they just regulated to the earth. We don't even like them then.
Yeah.
But then when they pop up on you and come up at you, and now they flying to you, and with a purpose. Yes, sir.
I'm saying, so we just have too much cinema in our head because we only seen it portrayed with CGI.
Right.
It just,
it's folklore. It's tales of legends. You know, it's for heroes and villain movies. You know, it's only made for the Hobbit. You know, so we only read about dragons and castles hoarding the gold. But these winged creatures, they have double meanings even in that too, as well, as far as being protectors. Because one of the definitions of serpent we read was a winged creature that stands as a guardian or a servant to the Most High, which we know are seraphims. Because when you look at the word seraphim, the word seraph in Hebrew, serap or sharap, is a fiery serpent or a majestic being with 6 wings, human hands, or voices in attendance to the Most High. So these seraphim, that's where the word seraphim comes from. A seraphim is a winged creature or an angelic creature that does the service of the Most High. It's a creature with wings. That's where the word serpent means 2 things. It can mean the snake or it can mean a creature with wings. And we just read in Isaiah that we understand that from the serpent came the cockatrice, and from the fruit of the cockatrice came the fiery, flying what? Serpent. So we understand that dragons are real. They're not just a thing of myths and legends. Yes, sir.
And if you read in the Josephus about...
We're going there.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. I like you, bro. I like what you're doing. Your wheels are spinning. Your wheels are turning, bro. Like angels' wheels. So hold that. Now go back to Isaiah chapter 30. Start at verse 6 again.
God. Isaiah 30 and verse 6.
God. I wish I could put it up on here, man.
The burden of the beast of the south, into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper, and fiery serpent.
So he shows you that it's separate. He mentions the viper, but then he mentions something else. So it's not just the snake. He said it's another breed of them. He said the fiery flying serpent, bro. It's not hard to believe. It's not just a thing of myths and legends and folklore and fairy tales. These flying serpents are real. Read.
They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels to a people that shall not profit them.
It's showing that how the Most High will use creatures to waste your resources, to destroy you, so you don't take root. So we understand. Now I want to go to Josephus. If you got a Josephus, go to the Josephus, book 2, chapter 10, paragraph 2. And this is not in the scriptures, but from the scriptures so far we could understand how this is plausible and how this is possible. So let's go to the Josephus, book 2, chapter 10, paragraph 2.
What page am I in? 69?
And start at it's page 69 if you got the blue. If you got the blue Josephus, page 69. And I want you to get start at line 245.
Okay. 245. Okay. Josephus, book 2, chapter 10, paragraph 2, line 245. It says, "For when the ground was difficult to be passed over, because of the multitude of serpents, which it produces in vast numbers."
He's saying, so he's talking about when Moses was working with the Egyptians to conquer the Ethiopians. Go ahead.
It says, "And indeed, in singular, in some of those productions, which other countries do not breed, and yet such as are worse than others in power and mischief."
He says, so in certain places, certain breeds of serpents are more common than other places.
Wow.
Read.
It says, "And in unusual fierceness of sight."
He says some are unusual fierceness of sight.
God.
They're not normal serpents.
It's not like a normal. And these people, our people were used to being in the wilderness. We were used to being in nature. It's not like they had like New York.
Like they never seen no snake or no serpent.
They've been seeing this.
Right. So it's not like it's hard to believe that, oh, that's a snake. He said, but these are unusual. Read.
It says, "Some of which ascend out of the ground unseen."
He says some pop up on you like a jack in the box. They just spring up out the ground on you. They just come straight out the ground. Yes, sir. Okay. Go
Are we
ahead.
talking about? I mean, could this be retrofitted to people?
No, not yet.
This is strictly.
We're just dealing with the concept. Remember, the topic of the class is what? The Most High's creatures. Celestial, terrestrial, and supposedly mythical. Now we're finding out that dragons are said to be mythical, but they're in the Bible.
And they can fly.
And they can fly. And that's what dragons do. Flying serpents. He said, so we're going through the scriptures to prove where they come from. Where the origin come from.
I thought we were talking about R. Kelly on the airplane.
No.
That's a different.
No. Remember, the class is for kids, bro. Also,
Okay,
all right.
okay.
Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Remember, we said that at the beginning. We want kids to understand this, all right? Because these are fanciful things. These are cartoonish type things, but they're not cartoons when you come to the Bible.
Okay.
All right. Read.
Where I left off. It says, "Some of which ascend out of the ground unseen."
They ascend. They come out. Like, cause I've seen snakes just stand up like this.
Yeah.
You can say
Like a cobra.
They just stand up like this side. These scissors are just popping up. You can't see them.
You don't see them when they come up.
Till you see them.
It's too late.
Wow.
Read.
"And also fly."
Oh, what did Josephus say?
No.
"And also fly."
They don't just pop up out the ground on you. He said there's a species that's in East Africa, North Africa, that we're reading about, that would come out the ground and they would fly.
And this is the foremost, most used scholar when it comes to historical information from the ancient world, used all around the world. This is the foremost. They use Josephus around the world. But he's the foremost. Him and there's one more Roman guy. Tacitus. They use him. Him primarily. Tacitus like secondary.
Yeah.
So this dude's accurate, bro.
Yep. Yes, sir.
That rules out gliding because it's ascending out of the ground.
Right.
It's on a flat.
So you're not jumping from a tree to tree, or a cliff or a rock to on your head. They say he come out the ground and he's flying on you. He's flying to you. Read.
"And also fly in the air."
Showing you right there. What do you call a flying damn snake?
Dragon.
It's a dragon. Read.
It says, and do come.
It's an upgrade of a snake. It's a snake upgrade. You go from a snake to a dragon.
Yep.
That's bad. Okay.
And do come upon men at unaware.
And catch him by surprise, bro. Caught you slipping. Spring up on you, he'll fly to you. We can't even stand a cockroach flying to us. I don't even like, because you know, as soon as I don't mind cockroach. I've seen them. We got them everywhere, especially after it rain. But when they take off from the wall, you don't know where they're going. Because they don't even know where they're going. They just like fluttering, and they just, whatever they land on, they start crawling fast as hell. Yeah, they get you, got to put your clothes real quick. They have you drop your phone, bags, food, whatever you got in your hand. Because just the thought of them just landing on you, then you ain't going to find them out there all on you. So we can't even stand a bug flying on us. Beetles and moths and grasshoppers, like that. I said, we can't even stand these things flying on us. We can't even stand flies on us.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes, gnats, but flying serpents coming at you, that's a different ball game. Yeah, and it's catching you off guard. You didn't even know it was on you till it's on you. Then it got fangs too. Read.
It says, and do them a mischief.
It says, hell yeah, they do you a mischief. Here I go. Go ahead.
Moses invented a wonderful stratagem to preserve the army safe and without hurt.
Go ahead.
For he made baskets like unto arks of siege, and filled them with ibis. Okay.
Ibis or ibis, which it says in the notes. It says Pliny, which is Pliny the Elder, speaks of these birds called the ibis, and says the Egyptians invoked them against the serpents. So it's showing you also that these ibis are those big stork looking birds that can stomp out. They can stomp out the snake. When you pull it up on Google, they can stomp out the snake real quick. Like they stand above them and they glide and they stomp them out.
Right.
They got quick feet and they step on the head and crush the head. It says Moses in
right.
Yeah. So they're snake hunters. He said Moses got a lot of them together, put them in arks. Go ahead.
And carried them along with them. Which animal is the greatest enemy to the serpents imaginable? For they fly from them when they come near them. And as they fly, they are caught and devoured by them.
So Moses used a flying bird that eats snakes to catch the flying dragons.
Right.
That's how he was able to preserve the army in the Josephus. Read.
As if it were done by the hearts. But the ibis or ibis are tame creatures, and only enemies to the serpentine kind.
And we know dragons are of the serpentine kind. We know that. We just read that in Isaiah 14. Read.
But about these ibis, I say no more at present, since the Greeks themselves are not unacquainted with this sort of bird. As soon, therefore, as Moses was come to the land, which was the breeder of these serpents, he let loose the ibis, and by their means repelled the serpentine kind.
So he repelled the flying serpents using a bird that can fly and catch them.
That was pretty good.
Power on.
So that was something that the Most High used, which was sagacity and wisdom, and used to offset these flying damn snakes that pop up out the ground on you. All right. So now, do we understand that what we read about is evidence that dragons are not just mythical creatures, but people say they are. But when you read the Bible, it's clear to know where they root from, where they spawn from, and where they generate from. All right. So let's go back. Let's go to Job. Yes, sir.
I just wonder what that was in Josephus.
That was in Josephus, book 2, chapter 10, paragraph 2, line 245 is where we started at. Yes, sir. Now, when you look at the, I don't know if it's in here, I don't think it's in this one. When you look at the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, I don't have it on me. I don't have the right one actually. And you look up.
What numbers?
This is volume 1. It's volume 4.
But you're looking for the fourth, right?
Yeah.
A through Z or
No, just volume 4 if you got it.
Oh,
I don't know if we could. Do we got it? You know, check.
you probably have it.
Okay, if we got it, it'll help. If you can see if we got volume 4 of the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia. I'm gonna tell you what page it's on. It's on page 2737. All right, page 2737 in the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia. All right. Now we are going to check and see if we got it. I don't have it on me, but when you look at that word serpent. Hold on. Let me see if we got it first. You got it? Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, first and foremost, let's go back real quick because I want to show that not just in Isaiah showing you that there's two different creatures when we're talking about that flying serpent. It's not just a serpent. It's more than it. Because we read that in Isaiah 30:6, he talked about the viper and the fiery flying serpent. Two different creatures. It's not the only place that you're going to find this being distinguished as two different creatures. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 33 real quick. So a regular snake and this flying snake is not the same. Two different creatures.
$32 and $33?
Yes, sir.
Deuteronomy 32 and verse 33. Ready?
Read that.
Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asps.
So we said that their wine is the what?
Poison of dragons.
So we got the poison of what?
Dragons.
So a dragon is one thing. Go ahead.
And the cruel venom of asps.
And an asp. What's an asp?
A snake.
What? It's a type of snake.
Right.
It's in the viper family. So it's showing you also that it's two different creatures. Dragons and vipers, dragons and asp, are two different things. They're not all the same.
Right.
All right. So let me get this in this the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, and we're going to go to 37, page 2737. And I want you to grab this real quick, Dawiyat.
Page 2737.
Yep. And I want you to read the second definition of serpent. The word serpent, remember we read it earlier, it means sarap or sharap. Read that.
Sarap, apparently from
Sharap.
Sarap, to burn.
What does sarap means?
To burn.
It means to burn. Now we read it in the Strong's earlier that it meant poisonous serpent, and it says fiery from the burning effect of the poison. So we know that when these venomous creatures, when they inject you, that venom burns as it's going through your body. So that's where the word sarap comes from, or serpent comes from the Hebrew word sarap. Read.
Is used of the fiery serpents of the wilderness in Numbers 21:8. It occurs in the Sing. Make thee a fiery serpent.
We know that from 21. But also, sarap, it's another word.
Tannin.
It's the nine. Tanayan. Go ahead.
Elsewhere, dragon.
And it also means something else. It's not just talking about the serpent. In other parts of the Bible, it means what?
Dragon.
It means a dragon. And we know that these dragons are those fiery flying serpents that pop up at you and bite you. Still with the same venom. They just have wings. Read.
Or sea monster.
Or it could mean what? a sea monster. So it's more than just, it has another terminology. It could be a dragon of the land, or it could be a dragon where? In the water.
And it's
still of that serpentine family or reptilian, so to speak.
Right.
So it could be on land, or it could be what? In the sea. So now we got to find out on the air, right? So it's showing you that, and then when you look at the word dragon in the Strong's, get the word dragon in the Strong's real quick. Get the word dragon in the Strong's. Dragon in the Strong's. Read that.
Okay.
Dragon. Serpent. Sea monster.
Oh, it says what?
Sea monster.
So the dragon could be a serpent that can fly on land, or it could be what?
A sea monster.
Or it could be a sea monster.
And how many accounts, medieval accounts, ancient accounts of people have talked about that they're on ships?
You look at them. Remember those old world maps? And they got like the maps of the 1500s, and then they got mountains, and then they got like polar bears, and then they got these little like the Loch Ness monster in the water.
Yeah, swirled up.
Yeah,
like a serpent.
like he's dipping in and out. You got one of them old maps?
Yeah.
It's like one of them medieval maps where the treasure is at. Where the treasure is, there's this damn Loch Ness looking monster on the map.
They also got the Kraken in there.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, get hold that real quick. Hold it. Read that definition one more time.
Con. Dragon. Serpent. Sea monster.
So it could be a dragon, could be on land, or it could be in the water. All right, let's find out. Let's go to Job chapter 26, verse 12. Let's go to Job chapter 26, verse 12, and let's find out, does the Most High, also dragon means marine or land monster. I don't know if you got that, Karai. You got that? It says, yeah, in the Strong's, dragon also means marine, which means aquatic, or land monster.
Yes, con.
You got that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go to Job chapter 26, verse 12.
Job chapter 26, verse 12. He divided the sea.
So we talking about the what?
The sea.
We talking about the ocean. Read.
With his power.
The Most High divide the sea with his power. There's 7 seas, right? So to speak. Read.
And by his understanding, he smiteth through the proud.
And the Most High, through his understanding, he has things to come at the who?
The proud.
He has creatures established to attack the who?
The proud.
The proud. Read.
Verse 13. By his spirit, he hath garnished the heavens.
Go ahead.
His hand hath formed the crooked serpent.
So in the ocean, the Most High has something in the ocean.
Wow.
And it's called the what?
The crooked serpent.
So it's of the serpentine family. And it's in the water. And it's in the ocean. And it's called the crooked serpent. So, does the Most High use marine monsters to punish the proud? Yes, he does. And in particular, he uses what he calls the Bible calls the crooked serpent that he created to chastise and correct the proud. We got that?
Don't he got a most powerful one?
Yeah, we're going to get that. Mm-hmm.
Got them all this.
Yeah, so, where does this crooked serpent live?
Probably damn.
Let's go to Isaiah chapter 27, verse 1. Where's the crooked serpent at?
Probably under a rock.
No, I don't think he's under no rock, guy.
Let's
We're looking for one of the proud of. One of the proud of. Anybody got a little pride on him? He's looking for it.
Where's the crooked serpent live at? Of the serpentine family.
Right?
Yep.
Isaiah 27 and 1. In that day, the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
It says, shall punish who?
Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
So, the Most High, only the Most High can destroy Leviathan. And in the end times he will. But this Leviathan has two meanings. It's a double meaning. We're going to get to the we don't want to focus on the first meaning. But the first meaning is the dragon in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 13, which is who? Esau. But that's not the class. That's not what the class is about. The class is about the other meaning of the dragon, of the crooked serpent. Read it one more time.
In that day, the Lord, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
Go ahead.
Even Leviathan.
Says that's why it says even Leviathan. That's going to give you a second definition. Even Leviathan, what?
That crooked serpent.
Who's the crooked serpent?
Leviathan.
Leviathan is the crooked serpent that he created to come at the proud, to chastise the
It's
proud.
actually a dinosaur.
Well, let's find out. Well, we got to get there because we want the kids to understand it too.
Okay.
We got to let them understand too.
This is an awesome class for kids, bro.
We want them to know that yes, dragons are in the Bible. They're not just mythical creatures on cartoons. You can find them in the Bible, and also you can find sea creatures, Loch Ness monster, so to speak. You mentioned it earlier, the Kraken in Greek mythology. In Japan, they call them Godzilla. Gojira. A kaiju. Ogita. Man, y'all got some names, bro. A kaiju. Ogita. How do they know it's serpentine creatures in the ocean? We're going to get to that point too when we get to Job. But we got to read that part. He says that Leviathan, he says even Leviathan, that what?
That even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon.
And where does Leviathan live, that crooked serpent? We found out who the crooked serpent is. And his name is Leviathan. And where does he live?
That is in the sea.
That is where?
In the sea.
That is in the sea. So the Most High got a creature established on reserve for the proud. All right?
And look, we probably can't find him. His ass probably still out there, right?
Well, let's find out. What is he doing? What is he for? Psalms 104, verse 25. What is Leviathan for?
Shit, he's probably still in the sea.
Psalms 104, verse 25.
Psalms 104 and 25.
My woman, Shia, let me read.
Read that.
So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things.
It says, so is this great and wide sea. The ocean is huge.
Yeah.
The ocean has yet to be fully explored. Remember, the largest mountains in the world are actually underwater.
Yeah, I heard about that.
The Himalayas,
Yeah.
Mount St. Helens, these mountains are known to be where when you look at the Himalayas and Mount St. Helens, you could start, those mountains are so high that you could actually start seeing the curvature of the earth from the top of those mountains.
Right.
But they're not the largest mountains on the earth. The actual largest mountains in the earth are underwater.
That's crazy, bro.
So can you imagine if you got caves on regular mountains above ground, what lives in the caves that's underwater?
Aliens.
They got names though. We're sticking to the script though. What is the Most High God in the seas? He said the ocean is wide, man. Yes, sir.
Like you went through it last class. Like per square inch, that's like trillions of pounds.
No, it's 6,000.
Well, I'm saying
Yeah, the pressure.
That depth.
Yeah, but that depth is yeah. That you talking about going to the trench, that's the Mariana Trench right off the coast of Puerto Rico. That people, they could only send like drone subs down there because the pressure is so great, and they're still finding new creatures there. Matter of fact, in Vietnam, they just found a new creature with a triangle head.
What?
Yeah. It's got a triangle head, never before seen in the water. Found it in the underground, in a new creature found in Vietnam in an underwater cave.
So those caves are unexplored, obviously.
They're unexplored.
There's all types.
So there's cave life And we know Esau's not been in every single cave. He should go check him out.
Yeah,
if he wants to.
He's brave enough. But you know, you got creatures that have not been written down,
Right.
given a name, ever been captured, that's ever been seen with the naked eye. You got creatures down there that live off of bioluminescence. They create their own light, like the anglerfish.
Yeah.
They create their own light.
Live by craters under
craters
in hot boiling water.
Yeah, you got sharks that live in volcanic gases that release in volcanic waters, in the ring of fire. Different breeds of octopus, all kind. Man, it said the ocean is vast, bro. We don't even understand it. That's why people are dying.
Yeah.
Hint, hint. The Titan.
Yeah.
People are dying trying to go down, paying $250,000 per ticket to go to your grave, a water grave, because you want to go on the water and you're in a vehicle that cannot get to those depths. And that wasn't even that. Well, that was deep. 12,000 feet is deep. Where the Titanic sunk, it was 12,000 feet underwater. That alone.
360 atmosphere.
After yes.
Man,
I wish we could put this up here. Yes.
Could that be an example of like it's the scripture saying the proud?
The proud. We'll give you an example of that. Hold that question. We're gonna give you an example of what the Most High is talking about when he's talking about the proud. All right. We're gonna give an example of that. But I want this part right here. Read that again.
Come on. So is this great and wide sea.
It says, so is this great and wide sea. Remember, there's more water on the earth than it is dry land.
Yeah.
Remember, the earth is 70% water. There's still areas of the Amazon that haven't been explored yet. There's plant life, insects, all kind of things, that new creatures, salamanders. There's all kind of creatures that are still being found out today.
Yeah.
And that's just on land, let alone the ocean. Read.
Wherein are things creeping innumerable.
It says, wherein are things creeping innumerable. You can't quantify and you can't count the number of species of aquatic animals that live in the ocean.
Wow, bro.
We don't have enough life in us. We can't live long enough to do a census of all the sea creatures. Because there's certain areas and certain depths of the ocean that are so wide and so deep that we can't get to. The vehicles can't get to. And we can't stay underwater long enough to do it. Read.
Both small and great beasts.
He said there's small beasts and there's what?
Great beasts.
And there's great beasts. There's giant beasts underwater.
Oh my
That's crazy.
Read.
There go the ships.
He says, there go the ships. Go ahead.
There is that Leviathan.
That Leviathan is that crooked serpent that the Most High created. And what is that crooked serpent doing with the ships? Read.
Whom thou hast made to play therein.
He's playing with what? He's playing with them ships, bro. There's that Leviathan playing with them ships.
Titanic.
Oh.
Titanic.
They say the Titanic was sunk by an iceberg.
But it could have been.
That's what they say.
But God knows.
But we're gonna get to that. We just gotta. We're just proving right now that there's great beasts that live in the ocean that will toy with ships.
Just like the angels mess
And
with
and his name is what? Leviathan, and he's known as that crooked serpent. So we're just dealing with the fact that we're wanting the audience in the class to understand that these are not just mythical creatures. They're not just mythical creatures. There's some that are mythical, but there's some things that can be explained in the scriptures that the Most High got on reserve for a purpose. He has them for a purpose. And his purpose is to do what? Read that.
Whom thou hast made to play therein.
He says to play play with them ships. Like the sister said, giant squid.
Yeah.
So-called crack.
The giant squid that their tentacles are like 18 feet long. And they live in depths that only the sperm whale can go to. They only have one natural predator. One. And that's the sperm whale. The sperm whale can hold its breath long enough and can dive deep enough and use sonar, underwater sonar, to catch the giant squids. That's the only natural predator of giant squid. Other than that, there's no predators for them. There's nothing dives deep enough to get to them, except for the sperm whale. And they use this powerful thump or this sonar coming off their brain, this knock, almost like echolocation, and using sonar, and that's how they detect the squid. And then they come back up out the water, and then they got giant squid in their mouth, tentacles, real big tentacles in their mouth. There was no giant squid even caught on camera. Those are rare.
Right.
Yes, sir.
There was a dude that was talking about this squid that he saw underground when he was it was basically for an oil rig, and he was underwater, and he had like equipment, and he was welding like pipes and stuff like that for the oil.
Underwater drilling, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he felt something touch him, and he looked back, and it was turning colors, and it had like tentacles and all that. And it was turning colors, and he said it paralyzed him for a minute. And then after that, he had feeling in his body after that.
First of all, if it went through the suit,
That's a problem.
if it went through the suit that he had on, you got a problem. That's number one. If it went through the suit. Number two, it's changing colors, and it's manipulating itself underwater. If it got tentacles, that means it can reach you. It can touch you and grab you. And I've also read about one of those guys saying it was a huge eyeball looking at him. Might have been on Joe Rogan. You know, Joe Rogan got all the podcasts. He said it was a gigantic eyeball staring at him because the squid got that one big eye. He said it had a big old eyeball looking at him, huge eyeball just staring at him in the water. If you staring at me with a big old eyeball in the water, we got problems, right? For one, there's a joke on them YouTube shorts. He said, "What won't you find at the white guy? What won't you find at the bottom of the ocean? Black people."
Yeah, that's real.
That's an actual joke on the YouTube shorts. The white people got jokes because that ain't funny because we don't got no business down there. If we was meant to be there, we'd have some fins and scales.
Yeah.
But we ain't meant to be down there. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need to explore. Ain't no need to be Jack Cousteau. There's no need.
We talked about that in last class.
But the Most High got these creatures for a purpose. Job 41 and 34. We're going to stick to the meat, then we're going to come back to it. Job chapter 41, verse 34. Next reader.
41, right? 34.
Yep. Read that.
Verse 4, right?
So read verse. Let me see. First of all, read 41 and 1.
God.
And then give me verse 34.
God. Job chapter 41 and verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan?
So we know the Most High is telling Job, do you have the power to draw out Leviathan, that sea monster, that crooked serpent? Do you have the power to draw him up? Now, when we read this whole thing, you understand the details of this underwater sea monster, this serpent, marine serpent. You get the details of him. He said, can you draw him out? Can you pull him out? Read.
Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook?
Is he that easy? You just gonna put some bait on the hook, and you just gonna put a little shrimp on there, or some people fish with all kind of stuff. They fish with Cheerios, fish with worms. Yeah, I've seen people catch fish with I seen people take Wheaties and some Big Red soda and make soda balls out of Wheaties cereal and put it on a hook and catch fish. So I mean, you see a lot of things. You can take damn anything, cut it up, and put on a hook, and you'll catch something. So he said, you just gonna put some little bait on a hook, and that's how you gonna pull Leviathan up. He's that simple. He's that simple. So he's showing the magnitude of this creature. We're not gonna read all the details about him as of yet, because we want to get to his purpose. So we're talking about Leviathan. Read verse 34.
Come, verse 34. He beholdeth all high things.
It says Leviathan's purpose is to look out for what?
All high things.
It says his job is to search out what?
High things.
What does he mean by high things?
Those that are proud.
Those that are proud. Just like you was asking earlier. What does it mean to be proud? We're going to find out. Remember we read earlier, he said the Most High got something in the sea to chastise the proud. And then we found out what that is. That thing that the Most High has in the water, that sea creature, that sea monster, that marine animal, that sea monster in different dictionaries will tell you what it is, but the Most High is telling Job exactly what it is. I got this creature for a purpose. He beholdeth who?
He beholdeth all high things.
All the proud. Read.
He is a king over all the children of pride.
He said he is the king over all the children of what?
Pride.
He said if you got pride, he says Leviathan is your king.
Wow.
He's the king of all the children of pride. Now, when you read about the Titanic, right? The British called the Titanic, it was made by the White Star Line Company. And when they created the Titanic, it was known to have mechanical closing doors that were automatic, that can seal, that were watertight. Its construction was watertight. So the people, the builders of this Titanic, the White Star Line, they start classifying this Titanic as unsinkable.
Yeah.
They classify it as unsinkable. They cannot be sunken. It won't sink. And at the time, it sunk in April 15th, 1912, right? About 2,900 people was on board. Only about 1,500 made it out, something like that. Majority of people their life rafts only inflated at 60% before they was able to leave. A lot of people sunk on the ship as it was sinking because they didn't get off in time. The ones that did float in the water, in the ice cold water in the Atlantic, they were picked off by sharks. And the bodies that were floating, the sharks were scavenging on those bodies. And at the time that it was built in 1912, this Titanic was the largest moving object ever created on Earth. It was nothing on the Earth made by man that was larger than the Titanic in 1912.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It was the largest moving object built by man in 1912. It was the Titanic. What do you call that when you call this ship unsinkable?
Pride.
You call it pride, bro.
Yeah.
That's what the Most High called pride. Yes, sir.
They even had a statement. They said that even God couldn't sink it.
Yeah.
Couldn't what?
The saying was that God Himself couldn't sink it.
Yeah.
That was the saying back then, that God Himself couldn't
Yeah,
sink
they were
it.
wrong
Yeah.
with that.
Well, it's now sitting 12,000 feet at the seafloor, and it has a little buddy next to him,
Yeah.
a mini-me.
Another pride.
Yeah, they're called the Titan, the miniature Titanic.
And that dude was talking crap too.
Yeah, but
Talking about,
he ignored all warnings.
yeah.
He had many. When you read about this guy, the CEO of that Ocean Gate and that vessel, he ignored all warnings that he was given on practice runs.
Right, and listen to his wordage.
It's one time where his battery went dead, and he said, "We're just going to spend the night on the ocean floor until the battery power come back up." Another time, he was in the Bahamas testing it, just 100 feet down, and the reporter that was invited to narrate the voyage said that it was already starting to crack. You could hear cracking within the shell at 100 feet deep. It was already cracking. So he told him, man, this thing is unsafe. He was also warned by master builders of autonomic vehicles,
Right.
submarine type vehicles,
Uh-huh.
that you can't build it out of carbon fiber and titanium. But it had a 5-inch titanium shell, but it was carbon fiber on the inside. He was being cheap on the materials.
Right.
And he used college students to build the electronics.
This guy, bro.
Playing around.
He's he's
This guy,
Yeah.
So and remember he was using a game controller
Yeah.
from a PlayStation to steer the vessel. He was using a game controller. Now you know how many times a game controller go out when you banging the game controller? People doing that on land.
Yeah, batteries.
Yeah, you try to run out of batteries, and you doing this. You like you hit the remote. People do that on land.
He was actually.
And he got a damn game controller, he got a remote Nintendo PlayStation controller underwater. And they said that most submarine vehicles, exploratory vehicles, supposed to have a unibody where they have an escape tank built in replica. There's supposed to be a replica, a dual-sided replica of whatever vessel you're going in, as an escape tank to get out if this particular one crashes.
Right.
He built no reserve vessel to get into in case the one that he had was going to fail.
Right.
So, yes, sir.
I heard he got his supplies from Camping World.
Yes. Yes. He bought some lighting from Home Depot. He had the remote control from a PlayStation. He had college students build his electronics. And everybody that went on that vessel in its trial runs kept saying this vehicle's not ready. They kept saying this vehicle's not ready. It's not ready, man. It's not strong enough. He was warned that carbon fiber, every time you put it under pressure, it gets weaker. It wasn't strong enough to sustain itself. He didn't listen. But he said what? Job 41:34 says what?
He behold all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride.
So who's the children of pride? Let's go to Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1. 1 through 3. Who is the Leviathan in the ocean? He's the king of all the children of pride. Who are them children of pride? Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1 through 3.
Everywhere. It doesn't matter. Land.
We're gonna find out.
Oh, okay.
Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1. Read that. So the Ocean Gate team that was in the boat sitting above the water lost contact within an hour and a half of that vessel going underwater.
Oh my God, bro.
They said that thing imploded. It was a 5-day rescue went out for him. Country spent millions looking for him. They said it already imploded in day one, out within an hour and a half.
Within an hour, as soon as he got out.
I don't know if y'all saw that, but it showed a oil tanker on tracks, like from a train that you put oil in, and they did a test and they put 1 atmosphere on that tank.
Yeah.
And that went boom.
And
they said that thing was under 360 atmospheres down.
I read 9 atmospheres.
I heard
but it don't matter because I'm not an atmosphere expert anyway.
Yeah, but
you know,
what 1 atmosphere did?
You know, we're on Earth and we got enough atmosphere right here, bro. You run in Albuquerque in the mountains, 14,000 feet up in the mountains.
Yeah,
the air gets real thin, bro.
Really?
Real thin. And it's hard to breathe. You go to Denver, mile high, hard to breathe, thin air, bro. The air, we need all the atmosphere we can get. I don't need to multiply atmospheres. But he said the children of pride do. Read this.
Verse what?
1.
Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
The Most High got a problem with these particular people against Edom. The Most High got a problem with Edom. What problem does the Most High have with Edom? Read.
Verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen.
He said, you're not even by numbers the greatest nation on earth. But yet you dominate the majority of all Earth's wealth,
And
the
you
wealth
went,
of Earth.
You went into that about the birth dearth.
Yep.
Previous classes.
Yeah, but even still, they still weren't the greatest in number. The Chinese got 1 billion. India got 1 billion. Africa almost finna hit 1 billion. Esau ain't even close to that. In all the Western countries put together, he's not close to that.
India got the most.
Read.
Thou art greatly despised.
He said, but people from all over the world don't like you. Read.
The pride of thine heart.
He says, and the reason being is because of your what?
The pride.
Of what?
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee.
You think your money has gotten you power and will keep you sustained throughout history and time. You back yourself up and support yourself based upon financial gain, about military power and equipment, about technology and science, about your advancement. We already read earlier about Esau's technology did nothing for them tornado warnings. But it was some rudimentary, ancient shamans and priests that asked the tornadoes for mercy. They got a reading of nature before their instruments could. He said, the pride of your heart has deceived you. Read.
Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock.
And he's showing you also one of the characteristics of Edom. You're a caveman. That's where you come from. Read.
Whose habitation is high.
He says you like to live in high places. You like to live off the edge of a mountain. You like to live on top of a skyscraper, overseeing the whole city. Everything about you is lofty. Everything about you is prideful. You like to live on top of everybody, overlooking everybody.
You know, in our opinion, there's nobody else that lives in the mountains but Esau.
You know, you know what's crazy? All the Gad that I seen, the so-called North American Indians, when I go to Albuquerque, they live in the mesa.
Right out.
They live in the valleys. They live in the mesa. They live in the bottom. They don't be living unless you go to Santa Fe. But even then, you got the rich living in the mountains. Oprah Winfrey. Wow. Val Kilmer having houses in the mountains. You know, Oprah damn near Edomite.
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah.
Read.
That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
But you think your society, your civilization, your methods, and your ways are going to last forever. Read.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle.
And you also compare yourself to who?
The eagle.
Yeah.
So we know who he's talking about. Whose symbol is the eagle? So-called white man. He said, you exalt yourself as the eagle. Read.
And though thou set thy nest among the stars.
And although you put a space station and you land on the moon, and you got astronauts and cosmonauts, and you put vessels in space, you set a nest in the stars. A bird build a nest one straw at a time. That's how you build a space station. One takeoff at a time. One blast off at a time. And you put them damn satellites in orbit, and you put these damn space station together. With every trip out of space, you add on to the space station. You set a nest amongst the stars. Read on.
Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
And that will be the beginning of your expiration date. When you look in 1969, Neil Armstrong said Houston to Tranquility Base. The eagle has what?
Landed.
He said the eagle has landed. What people don't understand is that Neil Armstrong fulfilled the prophecy of Obadiah. And since 1969, America's been on a decline. Banks, education, schools, moral decline. Look at the hippie era. The damn Woodstock. Partying, doing drugs, getting high. Bringing in Eastern philosophy. That was when karate became popular. Yoga became popular. Tantric sex became popular. Eastern meditation became popular. Eastern philosophy. Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism,
Greek parties and Greek
they've been doing that for a while. But I'm saying But they've been duplicating the Greek culture. But I'm saying, as far as the Eastern philosophies, bringing in new age religions. You know, even even Satanism, shamanism, astrology. That started getting big. They become unbridled as a Bible belt. They started taking religion, prayer out of schools. All these things started eroding. He said, "You exalt yourself as the eagle. Thence will I bring thee down," said the Lord. Right? We got to go to Amos chapter 9, verse 1. Let that go. Yes, sir.
Remember that famous cartoonist by the name of Bob Miner?
Mm-mm.
When he had this picture of how he noticed that the caliber and the quality of the U.S. was going to diminish, and then all the other countries was going to dislike the U.S. and how they was running their country. The cartoon that he had painted.
Now I'll look that up. Look that up. Really? Bob Miner. Look that up. I don't know who it is, but I'll look it up. Read.
Amos 9:1.
Everybody get it. Amos chapter 9, verse 1. Let me get it too. All right.
Come. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, "Smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake."
So the Most High is going to shake the foundations of the earth. He's going to shake up the power structure of the earth, the people in power. Read.
And cut them in the head, all of them.
He said, he said, you're going to cut them in the head, all of them.
It's a powerful statement.
Read.
That is.
I will slay the last of them with the sword.
Go ahead.
He that fleeth to them shall not flee away.
He says, so when the Most High, when we get to judgment of this place, on this earth, when the Most High begins to rectify judgment, he says, you're not going to be able to escape the Most High's judgment. No nation is going to be able to escape the Most High's judgment. Read.
And he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered.
It says they shall not be delivered. So let's find out where they're going to try to go. Read.
Though they dig into hell.
Now, when you look at the definition of hell, he's not talking about they dig down in hell. They're going to hell in the spiritual sense. It's the other definition of hell in the Strong's, which means a subterranean retreat. One of the definitions of hell is a subterranean retreat. That's where you retreat to escape the Most High's judgment. A lot of people got underground bunkers.
That's right. Make sure.
A lot of people are prepping. A lot of people are going hundreds of feet underground.
Underground cities.
Yeah.
It's going into sewers.
Yeah.
They try to go underground to escape, to retreat from the Most High's coming judgment. They know something is coming, and that's why they're prepping.
So-called dying and then going,
but
retreating.
No, not that. He's talking about physical subterranean retreats. Talking about underground bunkers. Even America got one that's famous. It's called NORAD.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
NORAD. So when the alarms hit, say for example, in the event of nuclear cataclysm and destruction, catastrophe, once them doors, which are hydraulic pressed, hold on, my woman. Once those doors that are hydraulic pressed, sealed, nobody is coming in and nobody's going out, and they're solidified and supported by granite and marble mountains.
Wow!
So they can sustain supposedly a nuclear blast, and they're made out of granite, solid granite, and that's why they've dug themselves deep into the mountains. But the Most High said, when His judgment comes to pass on earth, people are going to be trying to dig underground in a subterranean retreat. Read.
Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them.
He said, I'm going to get them when they're in the ground. I'm going to get them in the bunkers. Read.
Though they climb up to heaven.
It said, and they're going to try to get on Air Force One. They're going to try to go and get the space station up. And try to fly in the skies and stay above everybody on the earth as the destruction on earth is hitting. Then he said what?
Thence will I bring them down.
He said, then I'm going to bring them out the sky. And whether you try to build a terraform planet on Mars, he said, I'm going to get you from there. I'm going to get you out your space station. Matter of fact, don't we got 2 Russians still stuck in the space station that been stuck since last year? And then I think they got to like October to come out because they had a hydraulic leak in one of the capsules, so they can't leave. Yeah, this was last year. We got two cosmonauts stuck right now, if I'm not mistaken. They may have been.
Well, Elon Musk is trying to.
Well, they may have. I'm talking about the ones that stuck right now in space.
Yeah.
And they got about 6 more months of air. And they got a hydraulic. They have a hydraulic leak where they can't leave. The system will. They don't have enough power to get back into re-enter atmosphere.
That's a slow tragedy, huh?
Yeah, but they can only send up a space shuttle that a safety vehicle or retrieval vehicle that can only fit so many people at a time. Because at first it was 5 of them, and I think the vehicle only picked up 2, and then they only had seats for 2, and the other 2 had to stay. Read about it. It's true. They got stuck in space. Most I said, I'll get you in space. Read on.
And though they hide themselves in the top of
Carmel. Hold on. He says, and though they hide themselves in the top of Mount Carmel, you can penetrate the mountains and build a dugout and build a retreat. It don't matter. When you look at the space shuttle, the space program, the space race, they're doing it also to avoid judgment. But you know how the Most High gets you? In 1986, the Challenger blew up, leaving the Earth. Remember, it split into a Y? It blew up on the way out. 2003, Columbia blew up on the way in. Y'all remember that? It blew up over Texas. It said it was traveling at 14,000 miles an hour. And it broke up in pieces. And they had bodies in North Texas. It sprinkled helmets, spacesuits.
Wow.
Sprinkled on people's roofs.
Yeah.
And they sent out the FBI and CIA said if you don't touch, don't collect, and don't retain anything that you find. Then they try to scare you, say have radiation on it. But you don't know what the hell they doing. You don't know what they're coming back with. You don't know what they've been testing in space.
That's right.
But they said don't touch it. So they had body parts. They had damn helmets still with heads in it. Boots with feet still in it. Bust it open, coming in, re-entering the atmosphere. The Most says, I get you when you're coming in or going out. You can't leave from me. Read on.
I will search and take them out thence.
He said, I'm going to search and find you. And I'm going to get you. Read on.
And though
you look at the Hindenburg, right? The Zeppelin. The German Zeppelin. The Hindenburg. That was the largest space object that was built. What year was that? That was 1937. It was the largest airship. Y'all remember that video with the Hindenburg blowing up? It was a hot air balloon that blew up. It was the blimp.
I thought that was bigger than the ship that you said was built. Those were in 2 different times.
Late 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, the Titanic. 1937, the Hindenburg, a German airship, the largest gas balloon. The largest space traveling thing in the space at the time that was filled with chambers of hydrogen gas.
Stupid.
Blew up before it hit the ground. It was trying to land, and when you watch the video, they was trying to dump the water to balance it out. And it was dumping water. Then they set down the rope so the people could pull the balloon down, and it blew up. And it blew up, and it blew up and sizzled and fried. Within 30 seconds, it was gone. The whole thing was sizzled, burnt and charred to the ground, and fell out the sky. Check out the video; it's just live footage.
And they were letting people smoke. It's just a common.
Yeah, but you're in a hydrogen balloon.
Yeah.
And you're smoking and partying. It was for the elite.
Yeah.
And they were making their way back, I think, from New York. They were coming back from New York trying to land, and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
It said the bodies were charred.
He always hits them, huh?
But read on.
God. It says, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight.
It says, though they try to hide, whether it be in space, whether it be in a mountain, whether it be on the ground, or where else.
They hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea.
And we know that submarines can stay underwater for 3 months. So, you know, whether you got a naval military that got submarine equipment and you think you can escape the judgment of the Most High, he said it don't matter if they hide at the bottom of the damn sea.
I'm going to get them.
Read on.
Thence will I command the serpent.
He said, then I'm going to give what?
The serpent.
He said, then I'm going to call the who?
The serpent.
Who's that serpent that he going to call that comes from the bottom of the sea? Leviathan, bro.
Yes, sir.
And
That
that's-
crooked serpent, bro.
And that's what's wrong with America, because they know if they saw an animal come and destroy them things, first they wouldn't tell us. And they ain't got no cameras that can show this.
Remember,
So,
remember the ocean, he said, is wide and vast.
yeah.
And so the Most High, he just declared one more time. He said, if they go to the bottom of the sea, he said, I'm going to call this serpent, that crooked serpent,
That's crazy.
that sea monster.
That's we know. Now we know where he's at.
Now we know where he's at.
Dragon.
That dragon, that underwater marine reptile. He said, I'm going to call him. And he going to do what?
And he shall bite them.
And he going Gotcha.
Gotcha.
At the bottom of the ocean. You got. And that serpent going to bite. Now,
I believe that, bro. There's so much stuff down in that sea, you just don't know.
Now, we're going to stop it right there because it's already 10:30. All right? So, and we're going to go, we'll finish this. We're going to have to wait another week. All right? Because they know where to finish all this. All right? We're going to finish this next week or week after. All right?
It's major though, bro.
Yeah. All right. So, any questions so far? Is it pretty clear?
Yeah.
Easy to understand?
And it's not a myth.
And it's not a myth.
It's not a myth, bro.
It's not a myth, bro. It just has yet to be seen. You know, till the camera catch it. All right. So we want to say shalom to everybody online. The water for watching. The water for coming to class. And we'll have to finish this. Be a part 3 on this. Shalom.
Shalom. I had a question.